The Wrestling Mayhem Show. Since 2006, the pioneer in pro wrestling podcasting.
This show is brought to you by IndieWrestling.us and IndieWrestling.network for your independent wrestling entertainment. Slice on Broadway, supporting Pittsburgh podcasting with the perfect pepperoni pizza.
Just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Don't give up what you want, take it back. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Do what you got to do, make it last.
You're always cool.
It is the Wrestling Mayhem Show, episode 929. Tuesdays, we've been talking professionalized wrestling. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the social medias in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, PA, where something's going on next door. There, that has nothing to do with this show, but I don't know. There's just forklifts coming up into my driveway, and I don't know what's happening. But anyways, we'll find out about our new neighbors shortly. Hell, we were live on the show, and there was a car accident out front a few weeks ago. So, you know, it is part of the story of Beachview and Sorgatron Media. But we do have with us, first of all, my side buddy, The Riz, is with us.
Side buddy?
I don't know. I was trying to think of something cool. That's as close as I got. That's the best I could come up with on 2
buddy?
seconds.
My side,
you're my buddy on the screen on the side of me. You're literally my side buddy. You're like in the sidecar of this podcast right now. You're like Robin without the shorts.
Full butt.
And I got the button that just releases the car, and we don't know where you're gonna go. I watched an Adam West TikTok recently.
Yeah, that's fair, Sorg.
Yo, Burt Ward probably has some trauma. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, you can discover that on TikTok. But also with us, speaking of trauma, we have on the Empty Tag Rope book tour, it is debuting some guy named John and returning Joe Murphy.
Oh, boy. That's
Buddies, Inc.
Whoa. We are here, and we are happy to promote our novel.
There you go. So you got this book. What we talking about is the Empty Tag Rope, an 880 wrestling mystery. What does that say at the end, at the bottom there?
Inspired by true events, by Joe Murphy's best friend, some guy named John.
Okay.
You know, it's you know, we'll talk about it a lot, I'm sure, but the foundation is a lot of the real life detective work that Joe Murphy went through, and you know, I'm just writing it. Joe Murphy is my muse. He is my best friend. We are Buddies Inc.
Okay.
That
means
a lot. Easier Watson to your Sherlock.
Yeah.
Totally.
There you go. He could be your side buddy.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we think side buddy is a very offensive term. We would never call each other side buddies.
I'm trying to make it a thing. I'm trying to make fetch happen over here. I'm so sorry,
full
guys.
buddies.
Okay. Anyways, this is the Wrestling Mayhem Show. We're going to talk some wrestling. And the biggest thing, in everywhere I've been, every wrestling locker room I've been around this weekend. Okay, I think it was only one wrestling locker room, but I was there twice. Everybody's talking about the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix. Everybody's watched it, I think, at this point. It was 6 episodes. It was the most interesting thing since not Lion King, Tiger King. It's actually by the same people, from what I understand, too. Obviously, the story of the background, if you haven't heard by now, this was a documentary that was being worked on back in 2021. I think it had a different tone to it originally. And they remind us every episode that the interviews, the last of the interviews, were halted due to the allegations that came out in 2021 with Vince McMahon. Don't need to recap those right away here. But generally, binged it. I got work done, I swear, on Wednesday. But it was on the side. I was watching the whole thing and binged the whole thing on Wednesday. A lot of people watched most of it, if not all of it, last week. So I'm really curious in the chat room. We put the question out on our social media earlier, so I'm going to get to some of those comments here in a moment. But generally, what is our vibe off of, I know, John, you did not watch it.
I have not watched it yet. I'm very well versed in Vince allegations, so I'm curious.
That's your side hobby is Vince McMahon allegations.
We're investigating.
I've read up a lot on them over the years, so
Okay.
I'm curious what it actually covered. I have 3 kids, so finding an appropriate time to watch it was a bit difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Not ready to show them, Mr. McMahon.
How old are the kids now?
Oh, geez, 3, 4, and not even a year. So not appropriate.
There's nothing in there. I can say there's nothing graphically in there. There's some discussions, but I mean, if they do you have the news on in the room?
Not really.
Okay,
That's the
that's great.
thing,
That's actually
yeah.
great. That's actually really good.
Like, there's not a lot graphic in there, like regarding like Vince and stuff like that. There's a lot of like clips from the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is very
that is true.
salacious.
They get into some of what was happening with the women at the time. So yeah, that by itself is probably a thing. So okay, yeah, there's some terminology. Maybe like with AirPods on or something. I don't know.
I plan on watching it,
Good,
but
good.
I'm curious to learn a little about it tonight.
Yeah. So Joe, I know you watch. You have we've talked a lot about this last week.
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I watched it. Like I watched the first 5 episodes. I think it was Wednesday, and then Thursday, right before Thursday Night Fights. Watch it live. You know,
Right here.
Yeah, right here.
On IndieWrestling.us. Yes.
Yes. I watched that right before I came down to work. So, but yeah, no, it was certainly an interesting time.
So the biggest thing is, and Rez, you watched it as well. What was your initial
did.
thoughts on it?
The first, like, if you wanted the whole scoop of it, the first 10 minutes is probably the best part of it.
Okay.
The little appetizer to everything else that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So they're talking about Vince and his dad, of course, and then there's an emotional moment where Vince is like talking it up, doing all this, and then they cut to Tony Atlas, sleeveless, button-down tie.
I think, are you the one that keeps putting in every chat room he still doesn't wear sleeves?
Yes.
Okay.
And I kind of want to bring that to this show one day. Not now, obviously, but maybe one day I'll bust out like a sleeveless button down. But he just goes, I don't think he liked his dad. That entire thing, just that one little, like that was the first line he said in this
so
movie.
happy.
In this whole thing, I think.
So happy
yeah.
to see Tony Atlas as part of this thing. Like, adds so much to it.
Dude, Tony Atlas is like the weirdest cameo in that, but he's also like the highlight of the whole thing.
Yes.
I've never told you my Tony Atlas story, have I?
No,
It does not involve feet. But
Wait,
you
do
know
I
what?
know this?
From WrestleMania 29 when I was at WrestleCon.
That's already a great setup.
Maybe.
Okay. I will save the story for Patreon.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
No.
so let's go ahead and do that. But anyways, it's not about the Tony Atlas story. But yeah, no, I think he was a great because Tony was a great. If you've ever seen a Tony Atlas interview in the last 20 years, or met him, or seen him at a show, like he is the matter of fact guy. And there had to have been like, we have to get Tony Atlas on this show, kind of thing going on.
I don't know if anybody else ever saw The True Life I'm a Pro Wrestler on MTV.
I might have seen highlights of it. I don't think I've ever actually seen the full episode.
His portion is amazing. Just want to point that out there.
Noted.
But going back to Vince's the McMahon docu-series, I don't think it was for us. Because we've seen that. We've like John mentioned, we know the backstory of this.
We've seen a lot of
seen
either
this
Dark Side of the
story.
Rings or WWE documentaries about the Attitude Era and WrestleMania and things like that. I feel like there were things like I feel like if you took those and again there was a great I listened to the one from Busted Open where they had Matt Kemp on as a former employee. That they were down the hall from where they were shooting this thing with Vince and everything. So like so you have that perspective of things. But I love they were like, this is not for wrestling fans, the hardcore wrestling fans that have podcasts. This is for the general audience, at the Netflix audience, right? There is a lot of like if you go in, I watched the I haven't finished it, but I was watching the Formula documentary. the Formula F1 documentary, right? And it's very like, explain to me what this is and why this is important.
Yes.
You know, there were things where they were explaining kayfabe and heel, and I feel like every book you read from a wrestler has a page explaining kayfabe and heel and face, right? Like you had that. They waited like 3 episodes till they got the heel and face. But anyways, I think when they got to the Mr. McMahon part of it. So it was segmented out like that, and really, the stuff you're waiting for was a little bit of a big nothing at the end, hoping it would be something about these allegations and stuff. And I don't think they didn't specifically get into anything like that, I feel, other than what's out there.
I don't think they could.
You can tell the pivot because the fact that there were, I believe, Washington Post reporters, who I think are the ones reporting on this current slate of allegations, are now a part of this documentary.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, this was supposed to be just one about Mr. McMahon, and then they turned it into, well, we're going to really talk about, and also the things that they dug up. I think, okay, we know what the Attitude Era. We know about Mr. McMahon. We know about Vince. We've seen Dark Side. We've done Dark Side. We've seen Wrestling with Shadows. Like, there's nothing terrible. There's even footage from Wrestling with Shadows in this. And that is not the exciting, newness of it. And I think we're glossing over the fact that there are things like talking about Mike Tyson and Stephanie asking, he wasn't arrested for rape yet, was he? Oh, yeah? Oh. Like those moments are the most character forming and confirm your suspicions about the McMahon family.
Yes.
And the most, the biggest thing for me, and I don't know if you guys caught this, it was about the first female ref in the late 80s that was being featured and interviewed on TNT and this, that, and the other thing, and then disappeared. And then there was a, I think it was officially rape allegations, right? Which, something like that. And the part where Vince in 2021 is going, everything was consensual. And even if it wasn't, statute of limitations is up. It was just like, whoa, dude. Like, why'd you say the quiet part out loud?
But like at the very end of the episode, they bring up like, oh, in 2023, the statute of limitations on this case was like lifted, and they settled out of court. And I'm like,
yep.
Whoa.
Well, I actually talked to I was my wife, who has a little bit of a legal background. I was like, hey, this was interesting, and she's like, yeah, they did this in New York. They did a lift on this because of so many cases where they wouldn't talk in fear of retaliation. Plus, it's such a difficult thing to come out about. For any kind of sexual allegation like that. So they basically, I guess, opened the door for anybody to come out of statute of limitations and press for a period of time, or just opened it generally. I don't know how exactly that New York, but either way, I think that's where this slipped in.
I remember a few rock stars got in trouble for that because they had bragged about a bunch of like the totally awful affairs they had with teenagers back in the day, and they're like, I got away with it, and then they reopened the statute of limitations. They're like, no, you didn't.
Yeah. Oh, did you pass through New York on that tour? Well, tell you what, buddy. And I was generally a net positive, and I do also wonder if this clip that they showed played a part in that.
I'm sure it did.
I'm wondering if that played a part in they were just like, yeah, so hey, Mr. DA, we have this piece of footage here. Maybe you should look at this, Hey, victim, maybe you should look at this and take it to your lawyer kind of situation. Because, I mean, that was like things like that. Things like the story, the Paul Heyman story about Shane and Vince. The background, I did not know the background with his father, and especially from his perspective. And then like that informs at least the way this is edited. Also, editing is a formation of opinion in this thing. So you should take for a little bit of grain of salt. But there's some things that I don't think you can edit around that are in here. If there's stories, if you believe Paul Heyman, but also the things with Vince and Shane kind of corroborate, at least in tone, the situation that Paul Heyman talked about. The story about how Vince basically said, you will have to kill me. Here, use this fork or knife or
like
pen or something like that. It was like, to get me right here if you really want this business and stuff like that, which led to the hiatus, which led to jumping off the cell to just get a hug from his father. Like, holy shit. After this, there's a picture that came around with, I think it was Shane McMahon and the Bucks in the past week.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that again, like right after I watched this, and I'm like, Now I believe he'll go to AEW.
So when those rumors first circulated, that was the one thing I said. I'm like, if they sign him, I don't want to see him have a match. I just want to see him aligned with the Young Bucks and what they're doing right now, because Shane just being their pal in Connecticut would be the best.
Heat, baby, you know, like they are the devil, right? Like it's just like God, you know, it's like Eric showing up on Raw. Eric Bischoff showing up on Raw. Like, what are you doing right now? You know, I think that would make the most sense, you know, but also it's kind of in tune with how wrestling works. So like, hey, is it going to make money? Cool. Who cares if you try to put me out of the business, you know?
If Swerve's right and they do something with Fox, like just have a McMahon on that first show, doesn't matter if I agree with it. It's going to get people talking.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I'm a big Shane guy, so like this whole documentary made me respect him even more, because I respect him as a performer, but like I didn't realize how much of the business like acumen he had. I'm like, oh, dude, this like really opened my eyes. It's like, and also made him more sympathetic. But yeah, no, I just hope Shane does.
And
good
also
things.
think about like this, Shane and Steph like came in the way they did. They do talk about that, and that's legitimate. They've been surrounded by the business and business in general, right? Same with Triple H. That's why he's like, you know, I've seen the interviews with him where early on he's like, yeah, no, I wanted Vince to teach me how it works. I want to know how it works from the back, you know, from the first chance he could get, and have that power. He wanted, you know, not power, but have the position to be like, I want to know how this works. Can I sit in the booking meetings just to understand it? You know, way before Stephanie, way before Stephanie was a thing, with him. So like, I think, but also everybody is learned Vince's way. And Shane went off and did other things. I'm sure this is not new news to most people, but the UFC potentially being bought by WWE like 20 years ago.
Yes.
Is really interesting considering how things turned out. So that's really fascinating.
Yeah, no, like my favorite part, like I guess one of my favorite parts of the documentary that wasn't like tied to crime, I guess, was was Shane going up to Vince and be like, hey, we should really buy the UFC. And Vince is like, no, we do sports entertainment. We don't do real sports. And they just cut to like, oh, here's the XFL. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Why are you like this?
Yeah. Well, and also, I thought it was interesting because it talked about Vince had some very Vince points because they were big about intellectual property and these characters, and Stone Cold as a character will live on past his Hulk Hogan will live on past because you can continue to do things with that character and make money off of it. Legends contracts doesn't matter if Hogan can barely walk right now or any of these guys. You can still use them in content, use their content, use those characters. Hell, you can do a Muppet Baby style retelling of everybody from the 80s that they have rights to, that has a Legends contract and died in perpetuity, and you know, in their families and everything, right?
Man, you should get paid for that idea.
No, because they own all this shit at WWE. Right, I don't want another letter. But anyways, so the idea of, well, those guys, they get hurt, they're done, and they're punching each other for real, that et cetera, it's like, this doesn't make sense. You know, they can't apply their formula to it. Right?
I'm sure they could.
Well, I think the Brawl for All is like great proof of that. Like, you know, they tried using that to get certain guys over, and Bart Gunn rose to the top. You're not really expecting that.
The real badass.
You couldn't really do anything with Bart Gunn.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, how do you control who rises up? No, I think Dana White knows how to do that. You know, I think there's, you can't, okay, I've done MMA shows. I've watched some UFC. I do not understand how this is not like you put fights together, like you're still very much controlling a narrative.
Yeah.
In MMA, right? You're setting up like what you hope to be an exciting fight, but also a lot of like, this guy's just gonna wipe this guy. This guy's just a build match. Like there's literally jobber matches in UFC.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't understand how that is. I've never understand boxing and those structures and things like that, you know, and how that kind of all goes together, and how that lineage goes, and how do you know, build up through that. Like I don't. It does seem like a little pro wrestling. Hey, you have to be a good fighter, but you also have to be entertainer. Maybe that's just a more recent thing that I'm seeing.
No, that's it.
I mean, that's Muhammad Ali, like, right? I mean, sure, but
like Ali and even like Tyson and Holyfield, and like you have those conflicts in you know, boxing and all that, and even in UFC, like for those years. So it's not a new thing. It's just more. Like presentable in the light of the age that we're in, which is internet.
Yeah.
Which is here. Like we're doing things. Like the next video is probably going to be a talking point or like a promo or a weigh-in with a UFC guy. Like it's just one of those things where it's just like promoting that fight, promoting that event, promoting that next bout, promoting something else. You have to have that guy to be like to get somebody's attention to pay those $50 for a pay-per-view or something like that, or even in WWE's case less than that. But there's still that there's more to do in that. That's why UFC has weekly, almost weekly pay-per-views.
Absolutely. At this point, or at least they have fight nights or something on ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So like, no, absolutely. So I guess that's what I can do with my new ESPN Plus that I inherited.
I feel like there's a bit of a
Nice.
control difference though with like you know, MMA, if somebody's legitimately the best fighter, they're going to be your top guy.
Right.
Where in WWE, if you're the best wrestler, it doesn't mean you're a top guy.
No.
If you get the most over, it doesn't mean you're a top guy.
Have fun
Vince
wrestling on main
decides
event.
you're the top guy.
Yep. Which has changed, and I think there's more openness, and I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
I think we've seen some great examples of that. You know, and they keep saying like, hey, more people have an opportunity to be top guy. Now than ever before.
I agree wholeheartedly
I think you can see that. I mean, when you see who's headlining Raw from week to week, and I love these marquee matches that are happening on Raw.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, anything else about the McMahon documentary? Anything that stuck out? Anything that really kind of like changed the narrative, added to a narrative from this? I mean, I thought the interviews with the McMahon family were the most interesting of all.
Oh, no doubt. I probably shouldn't talk about this, but like I have a new disdain for Bruce Pritchard after watching this.
Yeah.
Because I always thought he was like such a suck up, and then I watched this documentary, and then I seen the final episode, and I'm like, oh my god, this dude is like the fucking. Oh, am I allowed to swear?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I've been on the
That's
show
why
like three times
I'm
now.
trying to cover up this corporate logo over here so I can swear on the show.
Sick. Okay. But yeah, no, he is like the Glazer of the decade. Like, bro's just like, oh, no, this whole thing was just a hit piece on Vince McMahon. He paid for my wife to have cancer treatment. I'm like, yeah, no, but yeah, he can do all these things, but that does not make him a, allegedly very bad person. So I'm like, all right, come on, buddy. Like, he's not even in the company anymore. Why are you doing this?
A lot of these people, I think this is one of those cases of both things can be true.
Yes.
The wrestlers talk a lot about Vince as a father figure, and also very thankful. And I think this line was said somewhere in there with like that one journalist or Dave Meltzer or something. Which, hey, they got Dave Meltzer to clean up his room, so that was pretty nice.
Sure did.
I was just very impressed by that. I'm like, is that Dave Meltzer? I can't recognize him.
Can't tell there's
without
not
that
65
background.
files on the floor.
I know, right? So it's crazy. But there was a point where like, of course they see him as a father figure. He's sorted them through his funnel, gave them a life in riches and fame. You know what I mean? So they literally do owe everything to the Vince McMahon machine. So much like, I don't know, I feel like this is not apples to apples. This is like much like a lot of us had to reconcile. How do I identify, like, I appreciate Chris Benoit's work, but also have to acknowledge what he did.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's what I think a lot of people have to reconcile. John Cena, Undertaker were like, that was my guy. That was my best friend in life, my boss, and the reason for my being. I'm going to back him up because he backed me up somehow. Yeah. It is like a mob mentality. I just started playing Mafia last night. It is a mob, and I've been playing Yakuza. So it is, but it is. And they alluded to that. And I remember talking about those early days of the territories. I would not be surprised. There's always suggestions of the history of New Japan is tied in the Yakuza. I would not be at all surprised to find out anything anywhere where Vince McMahon Sr. and the Worldwide Wrestling Federation was connected with the mob in New York.
Oh, 100%.
How could it
100%.
not be at that
Like,
point, right?
It's in New York.
Yes.
It's right there.
Chief
How,
J,
I wouldn't be
how
surprised
else do
at
you
all.
get the Madison Square Garden in the 60s?
Chief J Strongbow absolutely knows there's bodies buried.
There's
somewhere.
a lot of guys there probably know where the bodies
Like-
are. So
Yeah.
like, and they only lightly I feel like there's certain things they only lightly brushed on because they know there's a Dark Side of Ring you can go watch, like the Snook allegations and things
they
like that.
do not address the Snook allegations.
But then I didn't know everything behind the oh gosh, who's the one that lost the belt in the 80s?
Wendy Richter?
Wendy
Wendy
Richter.
Richter.
I didn't know the Wendy Richter background.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe I haven't watched every episode of Dark Side. It might be in there. I don't know.
I think it was in the Mae Young one.
Yeah.
I think
It was
maybe.
Mae Young as a
Oh,
spider.
not
right?
Mae Young. The Found
Moolah.
Used to be the one.
Yeah.
That was me. You're right. Which is a whole other bag of
Oh, buddy, is it
that
ever?
we don't even get into the thing. So it's like, so wrestling is dirty.
Oh, no
It's
doubt.
a lot
It
cleaner
is.
than it used to be. So, come on, it is clean. Okay,
Compared to the
some of
80s?
the,
Like, come on.
It's cleaner now, but
I'm not talking about the locker room at the spring
okay,
school.
okay,
Okay, I'm talking about wrestling in general. On top of Me Too a few years ago, on top of this, there's some shitty people out there, and they're all,
always will be.
especially
Yeah, I was gonna
as
say, there's always gonna
young
be shitty
wrestlers are
people.
coming up, there are always going to be people that are going to try to take advantage of them, and that's what you watch out for each other out there as far as that goes. And uncover that stuff and speak up on that stuff if you have the ability to do so. Absolutely. But again, we're not in that. I cannot, we don't have, unless I find out there's a Tony Khan sex ring, this other stuff.
Possible.
Who knows? Like anything's freaking possible these days. I think generally it's better for Vince not being in it. Hopefully everybody learns from it. It's a different company. It's they have to clean stuff and this, that, and the other thing, and they have to be more public with things. The fact that they've gotten away with what they did as a public company in the last 20 years is kind of astonishing.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
glad we cleared all that air before Raw starts on Netflix in January.
Yeah, that was very surprising. They did the Vince doc, especially with Raw coming. I'm like, man, is that not going to do anything bad for the brand? And I'm like, well, I guess not. It's not really
Who
associated.
gives a fuck? They gave him a ton of money for 10 years.
That's true.
Who
I think
gives
this
a
was
fuck?
more about awareness in pro wrestling, just like reminding people, hey, like they're going for a wider audience on Netflix. And I think this is one of those things where WWE's reluctance to keep with the times has helped them, because if they had been a part of that glut of we're going to streaming 5 years ago, I think we could have lived in a reality where Monday Night Raw got canceled because those streaming places spent all this money and then immediately regretted it. And we're kind of in that post wave where they're like, oh shit, we need content again.
But now you're in with everybody wants football.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the NBA. So now, Netflix is doing the Tyson fight here coming up. Rescheduled, of course. So it goes right along with what we just heard, right?
Yeah.
So,
Wow, that is crazy.
and I would not be surprised if AEW gets a streaming play with one of the big guys, because I mean everybody wants live. Just like for network television, live is key. And now for streamers, live is key.
Yes.
I have noticed that every app I have has a news feed now.
Yep.
Thanks, Disney app. I'm just trying to watch Star Wars and Inside Out, and you got to let me know about the debate tonight, for instance. Okay. Oh, right. You own ABC. That's right. Did not even realize.
I also did not realize that.
Yes.
Wow.
And I want to go watch my Batman, and I'm reminded CNN is a thing. And then I want to go watch my Ninja Turtles, and I'm reminded CBS News is a thing. You just learned a lot about me.
I sure have.
So, anyways, you can also learn a lot about us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show. Thank you to our friends that do support the show. We do try to stick around, give you a little bit of something extra. It was just me and an old friend catching up with what movies we watched last week and talk. I don't even know. We just talked about like the kid and stuff. I think we forgot the Patreon was on and just kept bullshitting for like an hour. So, and we put it on the feed. And if you want to listen to it and find out what's going on with us behind the scenes, that's fine too. So we definitely talk about some stuff we definitely cannot touch in public here on the Patreon. Thank you everybody that does support the show, including at the fan of the show level, Bo Diggity! Woo! As as well as I didn't load the thing up. I'm in the wrong account. I don't know. I lost my momentum. I thought it was in the right place. Hold on.
Great
there
job,
it is.
Sorg.
This one over here. Okay, here it is. As well as Team Hammerfist, the Tupac family. Megan Nelson and Bubba Brewer, Jason French at the Poppy Club level, Dave Profod Partner, Spouse of Roost Julia Fair at roostjuliafair.com, Rats in a Trench Coat, Tony Kincaid, Pizza Club level, The Riz, as well as the manager at the manager level, Bradley and Tina Keys. Thank you everybody for supporting the show. Patreon.com/wrestling.
Hey, I know that guy.
You do always, which guy?
I know that
That's
guy.
right. No, there he is, Bradley.
Oh.
Getting his wedgie in West Virginia. That's a West Virginia wedgie right there.
Very interesting backdrop.
That's right.
It's very interesting.
Sometimes he leaves it on when he has
That's
business
why you
meetings.
noticed I took it right off
That's
afterwards.
That's right. Because he's like, I'm going to show up to this meeting, and guess what my background is?
No.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
kind of a power move.
That is.
Yeah.
The Riz power move. I like it. Is Hogan in the background when you when you have your meetings?
He will not be in the background.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
He is only for the man.
He only shows up for this to stare at us. What is he wearing? What's on his head? Is it the Hulk Hogan Wrestle Buddy?
So Hulk Hogan Wrestle Buddy, and
That's your
it
side
is
buddy.
a very. I'm not going to grab it, but it is a political hat. Just want to point it out there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Wait, I don't know. My screens aren't big enough. I can't read it. So
It's a white dudes for Harris hat.
okay.
course.
Oh,
Okay.
hey, you happen to be a white dude.
I'm a white dude.
Good job.
yeah.
Good job. So, anyways, we're not getting political. No, I swear
we're
we're not
not.
getting
We're
political
not.
on this show.
Let's-
No,
let's
we're
not
not
do
getting
that.
political. Let's not do that.
That's why he's
buddies
all the
are
way
here
over
to
there.
talk
He's
the
in-
election.
He's in timeout wearing that hat.
He's in
right
timeout.
He's on
Okay.
timeout.
That's where we draw the line for Hogan and
You gotta
timeout.
think about it. You got to think about what you've done, Hogan, on so many levels. Bad
Drinking
blood.
shitty-ass Bud Light beer. Fuck off.
What?
His beer.
Yeah.
His beer.
It's a real American beer or something like that.
Yeah, real American beer.
He's
Hogan
got a
has
beer? Is
Yeah.
is it Bud Light shitty beer? Because Stone
I
Cold's
don't-
beer is actually kind of good. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
this
know.
is,
I
he
don't
made
drink,
like
but-
a Bud Light counterpoint like during the
Oh,
whole Flash.
no.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a whole thing.
Yeah. It's available at your
drink
local
it.
supermarket.
Is it
Is
really?
it? I haven't seen it.
Well, we're
Like,
not here. We
I
don't
haven't
have beer in
seen
our
it.
supermarket.
Well, no.
Some of them we do.
But is it at Sheets?
I don't think it's at Sheets. I think it's like
No.
the
At
he
the
did like the
distributor?
same tour that Flair did whenever he had the
Oh,
energy
with
drink.
the mushroom energy drink. Oh, is that not a thing anymore? I haven't noticed it on
I
AEW.
think they
That
went
deal must.
bankrupt.
Oh,
they-
did they
oh,
go
you-
No way.
This is just like I remember watching an episode of Hogan Knows Best where he had the
Deep cut.
giant pallet of whatever energy drink he was peddling at the time, and we're like, "Well, what are we gonna do with this, brother?" You know,
Dump it in the ocean.
I don't understand that.
I remember hearing somewhere that they stopped paying AEW, which is why they were like, okay, bye, Flair.
Well, yeah, because it was they were paying for Flair's appearances.
Yeah.
So it was
Can't
like
be cheap.
Listen, man, no matter what Flair's been up to, if I could get Ric Flair on the couch for free every week, like I'd do it. You know, I mean,
Valid.
if we could get Ric Flair at $8.80 for free to plug a mushroom energy drink or something else even more
I
ridiculous.
just don't want to see him bumper bleed.
No, no.
It scares me.
If
I
Ric
mean-
Flair comes on AEW, he's taking a pedigree. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, definitely not on Thursday nights because that was a little bit of Wild West. But still, wouldn't that be wild?
How's he gonna get down the steps?
Carefully.
Okay, we don't send him. We don't send him upstairs. Okay, first he just hides in the bathroom.
He's just in the bathroom.
By the way,
waiting for his
hold
cue.
on, no, I'm gonna
He's standing next to
actually.
Tupac family.
I'm gonna hold something for Patreon.
Oh, he's gonna wear the Tupac
There's
shirt.
something that happened involving you guys, and I'm just wondering if it was a thing.
Involving buddies?
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about it on the show just in case it's a thing. So we're gonna say I'm making a note for
All right.
Patreon here. So all right. Anyways, Bad Blood is coming up this weekend, and appreciating that it's early because UFC said, "Hey, man, we have a UFC fight this night." Why don't you bump yourself up to 6 p.m. Eastern time? So,
Really?
Which works for me because a friend of ours is DJing at Brillo Box on Saturday night. So I think it's going to end at exactly the right time to also go do that. So
I love that PLEs or whatever we're calling them are earlier and earlier. Like the European shows, I will actually watch them because I am very much a catch the recap the next day.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got shit to do, especially like we're weekend.
It's
say
like
performers,
football, you know,
but
it's
yeah.
an afternoon activity. You grab a few beers, you watch it with friends. It's great.
It's always an afternoon activity for our friends on the West Coast, so like, why the hell not? So
True.
you know. Speaking of which, trying to get that chat room back up.
Yeah.
I did have some comments about the McMahon documentary. I want to get this before we get to Bad Blood. I'm so sorry. So CL says, can't quite put my finger on it, but I get a bad feeling about the guy. Let's see. Bad one says, Tony Atlas still hates sleeves. Oh God, this is a paragraph. This is saying about how has been a word for word. Bishop and Hogan have a lot of screen time talking about things that really don't have much or anything to do with Vince. Aren't all that relevant. Yeah, there was like a lot of. It felt like maybe they stretched this thing to 6 episodes. At some
Hogan
point.
really liked talking to him about Hogan. in that
Oh
sh-
my
in that
God!
show.
You know what? Fuck Bad Blood. Because
Yeah.
here's the part. When we're talking
That's
about
why he's there.
CTE,
That's
two
why he's
things.
over there.
Two things. That's why he's in. Because
Here, do you wanna talk him-
Hey,
you wanna
at
talk
least
to him,
Hogan
Sean?
didn't say he didn't believe in CTE
No,
and
that was
concussions. Okay.
That was Stone Cold.
Stone Cold says, I don't believe in CTE. As they're showing the clip of him breaking his neck in a
dropped on his
pile
head.
driver, he's saying, hey, I think anybody that has problems with their head and getting concussions aren't doing something right in wrestling. And then here's a clip of you taking a pile driver from somebody else,
Yep.
you know, that literally almost killed your career and you. And also just generally they were just talking about concussions. Maybe they're not so bad. I don't think it's a bad rap. I don't think Chris was doing anything weird, you know, with his head and everything. And they just kept showing the gnarliest head
headbutts.
drops. No, they weren't even that. They were just like landings on his fucking head. Right?
When A-Train like back body dropped him, he went head
Yeah,
first
like
in the
they
chair.
just kept showing them over and over as people were trying to downplay
Yep.
CTE's role
was very
in the
selective.
fucking
The
murder
editor had
suicide
fun in this one.
of Chris Benoit. What's that, Riz?
The editor had some fun in this.
Oh yeah,
Like he's like, oh, they're gonna talk about this. We're gonna play something that totally contradicts it on this side.
Yep.
They're gonna do this. They're gonna do this, and it's like,
you ever like watch something where you know the editor is just holding up a middle finger to the speaker as you're watching this
Yes.
thing? Like that was just like, these are choices. Because at first you're like, oh, they're just showing the diving headbutt. I'm like, oh, these are not the diving headbutts.
No.
These are just point blank him being dropped on his fucking head over and over again. They showed like 10 of them.
God.
I swear. It is so gross.
Stone Cold being a CTE denier was like my favorite joke that whole week.
And then, I remember what they were talking about when they were showing those clips.
Yeah.
It's when Hulk Hogan's trying to explain to you how a wrist lock works and how you sell it. He's like, I can react and I'm hurting and I'm not really hurting, brother. And then here's just boom, boom, boom. You know, as he's trying to explain away CTE.
Dude, the whole bit with they're talking about like WWE's history with concussions, and then they bring up Nowinski, and Vince is like, "Oh no, Nowinski, he was doing a hit piece on us. There's no evidence about any of this." And then they just jump cut to like, "Yeah, no, Chris works with us a lot. He comes down to the performance center. He gives lectures about concussions and all this other stuff." And it's just like, "Yeah, Chris is a big friend. I hate that guy." It's a very strange thing.
Maybe a little bit coincidentally, I was flipping. I throw up just random stuff like documentaries and stuff and podcasts while I'm working on stuff.
Yeah.
And the Rob Van Dam Headstrong show popped up,
Yeah.
and it's a documentary from 2019 when he was like kind of out on tours and he was dealing with some CTE issues, right? So, and it, by the way, friends of the show, Matt Light's a part of it and stuff too, but it's like, he was literally starting to have that problem. Christopher Nowinski fucking shows up on that show too.
Yeah.
And he's starting to talk to him about stuff and Dreamer and things like that. But I thought that was just an interesting thing to have popped up in a week. Yeah. I'm no selling the Ghost outside too.
Yeah.
That ghost was Toddy Tondara.
Is it fucking really?
No, they literally took off the ghost get up, and it was Toddy. He's doing the Mick Foley wave.
Maybe
and
I
then
should unlock.
stopped
maybe
looking. I
should
was
un-
no selling. We had a ghost outside trying to grab our attention. A red ghost.
Maybe I should have unlocked the door. Did you hear the door? Was he trying it? I just
no, they're just up by the window.
Okay. All right. Haunted.
Not a fan of buddies.
I learned about John Cena and being haunted on The Bear yesterday. So yes, latest season. So it was a nice surprise. Anyways, okay, Bad Blood is this weekend.
It sure is.
There was an argument. Not an argument. There was a discussion about how Hell in the Cell should be the main event of the show.
Yeah.
Yes, it should absolutely be the main event of the show because nothing is hotter right now than the Drew and CM Punk situation.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's not a belt," and everything. Who cares?
Who cares?
A good
It's a hell
story
of
is
a
a good
sell.
story. It's a reminder that you don't need a damn hardware to have a good story. And I'm sure it was a busted open clip. No, maybe it was a Sam Roberts. I don't know. It all blends together right now. I thank you, TikTok, for bringing all those into my feed. But anyways, like, you know, the fact that CM Punk has not had a singles match other than ones with Drew
Yes.
since he returned almost a year ago.
Well, he had he had that house show match with Dom.
Yeah, I don't.
Should
that
we
not
count
count?
that
We
one?
can't
No,
see
no,
it,
no, no.
so-
No, house shows don't count. We know that.
Oh,
Yeah, no, house shows don't
They were a
count.
whole factor in Becky Lynch's and Rhea Ripley's storyline for like a year ago. Where
I
it's
know,
just like-
right?
Yeah, it was,
I know, right?
They count when they have to, I guess.
Yeah, they count. Exactly. They count when they have to.
Yeah.
But they count when they decide that we want to put something on social media. Side note, all the social media around CM Punk bringing his dog to Raw, which was amazing. Last night.
Did you? I don't know if you guys are chronically on X.com as much as Joe Murphy is, but there was a clip of Punk like talking, or like WWE put out a clip of like Punk's dog or whatever, and then Drew just I don't know what the new terminology is. Quote tweeted it with the video of Jack Black.
It is quote tweeting.
Jack Black kicking the dog off the bridge in Anchorman. Where it's like, oh yeah, bro, someone else is happening.
Oh, Drew McIntyre's picture with Jack Perry was amazing.
Yes.
I loved every second of it.
Yeah, same.
I could care less about the bracelet, but everything they've done around the bracelet, I think, has been gold.
Yeah, the whole point is the bracelet's not the point. The bracelet is the representation of the point, right?
It's about the message.
It's about the message, brother.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff. So, no, absolutely. So, the Hell in a Cell over a bracelet is going to happen this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was so perfect because, and you knew this was going to happen. You had Bad Blood coming in. You got Hell in a Cell, and the moment that somebody pointed out that they're absolutely doing the Shawn Michaels Undertaker setup from leading into Bad Blood in the first Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam, which also happened at SummerSlam. I was like, so we're getting Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood. Okay, here we go. Like,
very
of course they are.
No, CM Punk is such a big new generation guy, which makes me feel vindicated about it because like I'm a new generation apologist. Like I think there's great stuff back then.
Oh, there's some awesome stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So
It's the one of two times that I left WWE.
really,
It's what it was must be because of cable, and I just couldn't watch it anymore. I literally couldn't watch it anymore because like physically couldn't watch it anymore. And then a couple years ago, was it coming out of COVID or something? I gave up on it for a few months and just stopped.
oh geez,
And I was like, fuck it, AEW's a thing. I'm good. You know, it was like the second or third year of AEW, and I'm like, these guys are hot. WWE's boring. Fuck this. And then the Triple H SummerSlam where they bringing it Damage Control and all that stuff, and the Brock Lesnar bringing a forklift to the ring and flipping it. Like I was like, I'm back.
so
See
back.
what you got, Papa H.
we are so back.
Yes, we are so back, and I think the train has been rolling
Yeah,
pretty decently ever since. A little bit of a hiccup when somebody decided to come back and grow a mustache.
yeah.
The weird pencil
Can we have
fucking mustache.
Can we have? There was always extra episodes and content for Tiger King. Can we just have an extra content around the mustache decision?
Oh, you know, there's.
Can we just
like,
have a mustache episode?
I want to hear Bret Hart's take on the mustache.
Yeah. It's just literally everybody commenting because like, oh man, you don't know. I think they're not all new interviews. They're all probably from around that era, so it's all pre-mustache. Can we just get everybody on a Zoom? And be like, so this mustache, what the fuck? Listen, John, you are a
Let's not
mustachioed.
talk about anything else.
You are a mustachioed individual. This is a mustache business, as Matt Carlins keeps reminding me. I mean, how?
My mustache was not Vince's mustache. That thing was.
Nobody is Vince's mustache. What species is Vince's mustache?
Walt Disney and who is the guy, the airplane guy? Howard Hughes. It's very 19.
The piss in the jar guy?
Yes, very much. It's that archetype of creepy rich guy who has the pencil mustache.
yeah.
Between that and his complexion, it like looked like he had always just come from being cryogenically frozen. Like,
Just like
Vince
Walt
on
Disney.
ice, except for when he has a documentary or like a random tweet to warn us about a documentary.
It's not what it seems.
I think you get a certain a certain level of. I always say like I think being rich and successful is a disease of the mind to some people. And you can tell by their mustache sometimes. Sometimes it just outwardly projects. It's not just how they behave and they treat people in person behind the scenes that it ends up coming out on a Netflix documentary down the line. After you I almost laundry listed all their stuff that's wrong with Vince right now.
Like Jericho's list of holds.
Yeah, it's Jericho's 1,000. It's the list of 1,000 Vince McMahon sins.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We are next to a church.
Yes.
Anyways.
How about bad blood?
I don't know. There's some matches. There's going to be Hell in a Cell, and I know I'm going to get to MySpace night in time. That's all I need to know. That's your preview.
I guess it's not Bad Blood officially. I think they advertised it for next week, but I'm very excited for the rematch between Sami Zayn and Gunther.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is it officially on a Raw?
I think they advertised that for next week. But
okay.
It's not
I won't
on the card. It's on. It's
yeah.
I'm
sure some stuff will happen, but I'm excited for it. I was there for that Mania match. I had a great time watching it. Big Sami Zayn fan, and I think that's a good. It's also just good storytelling. Like, I didn't win #1 contendership. I didn't do this. This is like I'm the only guy who beat you. I did it this many months ago, but I did it.
Yeah.
So I get a world.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so simple.
It's very classic. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's simple where it needs to be, complicated where it needs to be. There's been a lot of old clips of Bloodline story over the years, including the one where everybody laughed at the idea of Solo becoming the new tribal chief.
Yeah.
Like early on, which is so great. They teased
it a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So, still wild to me when I sit down and watch SmackDown. It's like, oh my God, the Guerrillas of Destiny are fucking tag champions in WWE. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, and they're out there making like weird chittering sounds.
Yeah. Have you seen the CG video of him just climbing the walls and knocking like ladies out the windows? I'm going, yeah. It keeps popping up in my feed, and I laugh every time. But it's still the creepiest fucking thing that you've seen, and it burns in your brain. And I don't know what is making these. It's a thing. I'm gonna share it with the group whenever it comes up again, because it inevitably will.
Absolutely.
And it keeps getting truncated versions, because the first one was like 5 minutes. I just watched the whole thing for some reason, and it just made no sense. Anyways, let's get out of my neuroses and move on.
That's the same guy that did like the Jacob Fatu's fighting like Roman, and then fighting Cody, and then fighting Goku.
Yes,
and fighting. Yeah,
I've seen those ones.
Like, is that the same guys that did that one?
Maybe. I don't know if it's the guys or
just like the version of that.
Oh my God, digital cartoon. Yeah. Let's try that.
No spaces in the yeahs.
How do I just see the shit that I've seen on the internet?
I'm sure if you just scroll through X, you can find it.
I don't know. Tama Tunes. What's this? That's something I'm going to have to
Tama
look at later. Anyways, let's talk about literature in a moment, but first go to indiewrestling.us. You can check out 880 Wrestling for free, live streaming Thursday nights, every Thursday night. I'm workshopping this, the longest running episodic wrestling show live from the Western PA area.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
No, you're onto something. But like, I feel like that's probably more condensed. Like, I'm sure we've beaten other weekly episodes.
Well, I literally don't know if there's another one out there, because it's the internet is huge.
I don't.
But
I'm sure I would have heard of it.
But either way, that's there. And also, Summer's Over, Let's Fight from Friday night is also live on there. On this is going to be indiewrestling.us, YouTube, and .network for free.
Hey, we won a match that day.
Yeah, Buddies Inc.
That's
Picked
right.
up a big
That's
win.
right. Had some good stuff there. And you can see how all of it went over. God, I think we're approaching 100 episodes.
Yep.
I need to figure out when the 100th episode is going to be. By the way,
Hollywood Bubby George Ross has it down to a T.
Oh, does he?
Yes, George. He had. I'm gonna take this opportunity to make fun of George as I love to do, and he hates it. But George on his notebook has every episode of TNF in chronological order, like the dates and everything, which is admirable. Someone has to do it, but also what a nerd. So George has it down.
Well, that's what the McMahon documentary. Both things can't be true.
Yes,
with respect.
Yeah, respectfully.
Our anniversary is in January, so January was like around the 52nd. So yeah, probably in December.
Yeah.
December or late November, I'd reckon.
Yeah, we have roughly 50-ish shows a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we did have. Wait a minute, that can't be right. Oh no, because I had the. Okay, so the number I'm looking at also includes the Friday shows
All right.
and the no rings that we put up. So, and we're not entirely complete on the no rings either. So, you know, that's how many episodes. It necessarily had, you know. So there's that situation. So I took it down. But also, hey, let me finish the ad real quick, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Also, our friends at Neo Pro. I believe if you're on the network, you should already be seeing the. You should already be seeing the newest Neo Pro show. Something happened to YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out what that you can't see it. And I'm actually very curious looking at that right now. But generally, yes. So go check that out. Neo Pro's doing some great stuff. I think Tommy Dreamer was a part of that last show. Rhino was a part of the show before that. And, of course, the most recent RWA shows up there with also featuring Rhino. A lot of ECW lately. We had Sandman earlier this year for a couple of shows. I put one of, like, just Sandman playing on a cell phone at ringside on his tag team match with John McChesney. So a lot of good stuff going on there. And a lot of great free matches coming up here as well on the YouTube and all the social media that we can put video right now, honestly. We're trying to put matches up on Twitter now. Oh, so and we've been trying to stream the shows on there. Just to, you know, if it works for NWA, we're going to try it too. We started first, not calling out NWA. They're great partners for our project I use. So, anyways, but we were there first. But anyways, so, but yeah, no, we were actually watching a little bit of the NWA 76 here because I was like, hey, this is happening. You know, let's see what's going on here. So, and I guess something's happened on CW. I don't know. But either way, just watch stuff at Indie Wrestling Night. Watch more wrestling, and we're going to give you more opportunities to do that.
And just to point out a little bit, because you were just talking about it, I went to our favorite website, cagematch.com, or cagematch.net. Sorry, not dogotoco.com. We are at 80 Thursday night fights.
83 week. No, wait. Actually, wait. We're at what? 80 what?
80 Thursday night fights.
80 of them. We need
that
83.
Doesn't look right. But
okay.
I feel like there should be more based on when the 50.
Yeah, that's
was.
wait a minute.
We need to when you get the 80th episode 83, just have somebody say, just do me a promo where you just yell 83 weeks like Conrad.
Man, if only you had the two promo guys at 80 here.
Somebody out there. I want to put it in the world. You know, it could be you. It could be some jocks. It could be.
We're shy. We never talk in the microphone.
No. Just do me that. Wink at the camera, and then
maybe it's just showing 80 results.
Buy another book.
Why are we just showing that?
What's that?
I don't like it. I don't like cagematch.net now.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Come on, it still has Matt listed. We need to make a profile for cameraman Matt Carlins after his Rumble appearance last month. So he's just listed as Matt. So
I put his full name on there.
Yeah, it's on the graphics, so somebody's not doing their fucking job. So, anyways, Tony Kincaid has a full name listing, so he also needs a profile now. So
I'm on Cage Match.
There you go.
All my move names are wrong, but I'm on Cage Match.
What's that?
All my move names are wrong.
They're wrong?
Yeah, I sent over.
It's like Wikipedia. I think you can go in and fix it, right?
It takes it's like a submission process. It's like a labor of love by the people who do it. So I can message them, but it took 6 to 8 weeks for my profile to go live. Like when it went live, I was like, oh, I forgot I did that.
Because you know how many new wrestlers are out of training school are like, gotta get my Cage profile, you know?
Yeah, no, it was a big thing for a minute. Like I think John has a profile, but I don't. I think I'm blanked out if you go to click on me.
What?
Yeah, which I prefer to keep it that way because no needs to know my win loss record.
Enigma of some sort.
They can click on Buddies. The Buddies Inc. has an official page.
That's good.
So they can click on Buddies Inc. and
our win loss record's pretty good.
Yeah, they can't go just like detailed into Joe Murphy's career.
Good. Yeah, keep it that way.
Oh, there you are. There you go.
Is that MV Young pulling up? Is he gonna?
Who knows at this point? Who's getting off that train? So here's the Buddies Inc. page. Okay, it's not exciting.
It's not.
Wait, I love that the groups are called constellations. On
we're Yo, that is really
good.
What
is that?
That's actually
all right. There you go.
That's a cluster of stars, baby.
You've had 16 matches according to this.
Well, they are missing some, I think. I went through. They don't count anything from the pre-show.
As buddies.
Well, they don't count pre-show matches.
Okay.
Which I don't know if we had any as buddies.
I think we had one.
But a lot of my solo career is missing because I opened a few pre-shows.
It pleases me to no end to look on here and see such matches like Wet and Wild and Icy Light Ladder. as match
Yeah.
types.
That Wet n Wild match is a highlight of my career.
Our first year had some really wild match types.
Yeah,
We weren't even teaming for like a full year. We already booked WrestleMania week. Isn't that crazy? That was like John's sixth match. Bro's out here wrestling in Philly.
I remember we have, we're gonna do this match, and Joe tells our opponents it's only John's sixth match, and the
tone
panic
shifts
on their face.
Who did you have that night?
We had
the outfielders?
yeah.
Oh,
Shane McCoy
Oh
and
yeah.
Oh,
Weber Hatfield.
Yeah.
And we were putting together this match, and then I like literally tapped John on the shoulder. I'm like, man, not so bad for your sixth match, whatever. And then Weber just literally does like the concerned, "Are you sure you're comfortable with all this?"
yeah. I can see Weber doing that. Too.
Yeah.
Just like, you sure you're good?
Yeah.
You sure you're good?
was
The
very
best thing
funny.
about 880 is Riz getting to work with be around a lot of his favorite Shakara people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of Shikara overlap with 880.
yeah, so I love it. I love it. I love the vibe between that and the
We had Tarzan Duran for a minute too. That was pretty weird.
Tarzan Duran. Yeah, that was random,
like, ran
right?
class
I was like,
for
what
a
is,
couple
what is this
days.
Tarzan guy? I
Former
know
SPW
nothing.
champion.
Was he really?
I think so.
No shit.
If we're talking about like
cage
special
match it.
guests at 880 and one of our reactions towards them, Sorg, your reaction to Soul Taker.
Oh god.
I was so happy.
Soul Taker.
Soul Taker
Somebody,
chat?
somebody just commented on I think his first appearance there and was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
on YouTube, and I'm like, I think you know what it is.
I think
it
you
speaks
know.
for itself. So
I want to spar on a mic with him. I'll be honest.
Yeah?
I'm not afraid of it.
let him do that.
I was just talking about this.
you're gonna hang Hudson this shit.
I want to spar on a microphone with Soul Taker.
And that's one of my favorite things with 880 is there's literally people coming in that nobody else in Pittsburgh through connections or awareness will book.
Yeah.
No.
Are literally at 880, and the weird stuff I love from other places is coming in because of this funnel between 880 and Enjoy, because I think there's a very similar mentality there.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's definitely some DNA, and there's some DNA, and then yeah. No. So, anyways, let's roll this around. Okay, some guy named John. That is your name.
Yeah.
That is
his
what you
government
were
name.
announced as your government name. It's on the book. It's your and somehow you're your own ghostwriter, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about the origins of my name if you want.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before.
Good story.
And why I've kept this name. So when I was brought in to announce for 880 Wrestling, I was given no notice. I was told, "Hey, we need you to announce tonight," and I was asked, "What's your name?" I did not have a name, so this production company, you may have heard of them, Sidekick Media Services. Or I don't know. I called them like 20 different things during the first few months. But
This is true.
They
is
just
very
decided
true.
to call me some guy named John, and they put it up there. And I've stuck with it because it reminds me that I'm not just some guy. I'm better than some guy. I'm better than all those people in the audience. And I'm up here doing my thing. So I kind of keep it ironically. As you know, I'm a writer, so I work irony into things as simple as my name.
Okay.
I have a last name. It's out there.
It is out there.
But
Allegedly.
some guy named John. I kind of like, I tell everyone, I like being just some guy that beat your favorite wrestler. And I think that's fun.
Yeah, we do be beating people all the time.
Yeah.
And people don't
You
like
have
when we win.
You have beaten the Andersons a lot.
We've beaten the Andersons quite a bit.
Yeah, we did. We beat him in a ladder match. That was pretty
We had a
crazy.
ladder match with them, yeah.
Yeah. No, I drove 6.5 hours, barely any sleep. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ruin the Anderson brothers' day real quick. So that was fun.
Yes. You have a fondness of kombucha.
Yeah.
It was on the
Yeah, I have
couch.
some kombucha right here.
Oh, there you go. Came prepared.
We brought some.
We always stay strapped.
Not enough. It's actually quite hard to find kombucha in Pittsburgh. I'm from a civilized place called Philadelphia, where you can find kombucha in your
explains
local
everything.
grocery store.
Explains everything.
But yeah, here in Pittsburgh, there's not many of it, and that's all we're trying to do: bring some culture and class to 880 Wrestling,
all
to
we want.
Pittsburgh. Bring some fine literature, some fine drinks.
Okay. All right.
I think I said it once before. We bring live cultures for the cultured.
Okay.
That's what we provide to pro wrestling.
First, Buddies, you are incorporated.
We are incorporated.
Yes.
In what state?
Pennsylvania right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about this. We're not allowed to include non-residents of the state of Pennsylvania in Buddies Incorporated.
Okay. That seems limiting.
Nico Rodriguez of TTT Brooklyn, big fan of Buddies. Would love to welcome him in. Can't. So there's like a lot of litigation or something. I don't know.
Okay.
The lawyers threw up the red tape. Fantastic talent, though.
But
Okay.
Well, maybe they can have their own like subset of Buddies Inc. Like just have their own little like
Buddies Limited.
Buddies
Yeah,
adjacent.
maybe could that be a spin-off? Could that be it could be your NWO Black and White, if you will. Or Wolfpack. Buddies Limited. Buddies LLC. Yes,
Well,
yes.
we had the Little Buddy program.
We
for a
did.
Okay.
minute
Oh,
where we were
really?
trying to recruit little
Okay.
buddies.
Okay.
But I think the branding was all wrong. It was kind of like when WWE used to do those scramble matches, and people would get confused and go, "Oh,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Brian Kendrick champion?" People thought these losers were real buddies.
No.
Okay.
They were scouted for their potential to be buddies.
It's like a AAA program.
yeah.
Yeah. They weren't going to be buddies, but if Bamana tells me one more time we wanted him in Buddies Inc., I do not want Bamana in Buddies Inc.
We might have
No.
to smash him.
I try to smash Bamana whenever I
Don't
can.
smash Bamana.
Hey, he has it coming. He knows what he did.
Okay. All right.
He
There's
has
that.
literally made me slip on a banana peel.
This happened. I remember.
That's not appealing at
Claims
all,
that we
yeah.
wanted him in Buddies Inc. I mean, I think the message was quite clear when Joe Murphy tried to end his career in the center of a ring that
Yeah.
we denied your application. But
He had
tried
to call MV Young. Like
Yeah.
he threw up the banana signal, and here comes the King of Pittsburgh to just
you
let.
know, and imagine the type of beating you have to take for MV Young to go, all right, I'm just going to go out there and end this.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for you, Joe. I wasn't there that week. You got
chest still
chopped to
hurts.
hell, but Bamana's not part of the group now.
He is
No
not.
one is. We've kind of, actually, we call the book the third member.
Okay.
The
Okay.
book is our third member of Buddies Inc.
Okay. The
we've
empty
been look-
tag rope, the
empty
an
tag
880
rope.
wrestling mystery. So tell me about the book. How did this come about? What was the inspiration for this?
So, I mean, a lot of this starts when we noticed that tag teams were disappearing. The Brotherhood, they were gone. Chaz D'Amato,
Still
we
missing.
hadn't seen him in months.
I'm still working on it, though.
Tatiana just suddenly vanished. And we realized all these tag teams were just going somewhere. And we started looking into it. We chronicled a lot of this on air as we questioned where these people had gone that had been giving us a hard time for months. And then just suddenly, poof.
Initially, I thought it was because they were afraid of us, and I put on my best detective hat. I went through all the trials and tribulations and all the exams.
Your best Leslie Nielsen.
Yes, my
Yeah.
best Leslie Nielsen, searching for the Undertaker. It's all on my Twitter. I have all my certifications. I replied to the official 880 account because they did not believe I was a real detective.
Okay.
So I had to provide them with the receipts.
Okay.
And
You have
it's
a badge?
I do, but I'm not allowed to show it.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to ask for my badge number, and I can't. No, it's a whole thing.
I'll be honest. We didn't solve the mystery fully. We
No. trying.
tried to figure out where they went, and we couldn't. But we did realize they were replaced by potential imposters because some of these people came back and they just weren't quite the same. And we thought there were two options here. We could either dig into this further, spend more time and resources, or we could write it off and write a book about it. And what better way to really exploit these missing tag teams, other than beating them, which we can't do anymore, than writing a book about their misfortunes.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe exploit. You fell over. Maybe exploit isn't the best term to use, but yeah, profit.
And that's coming from a detective. So you've been on this book tour. We've been very hard pressed to find the book.
Sold out.
What's that?
It is sold
Sold
out
out.
everywhere.
Yeah. Sold out.
I can say it's not in my in our local libraries.
Okay,
around,
all right.
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So it's being taken out by everybody in the libraries, in the Pittsburgh public
okay.
libraries, of
All
course.
right. Okay.
We focus on
Obviously,
major
yeah.
markets too. We're in New York, we're in Philadelphia, we're in Chicago.
We're big in
Okay.
Eastern Europe.
Yeah, just
Eastern Europe.
Pittsburgh. Seriously?
Yeah.
No. No, we're not going to
They
sell
can't
our
even
book
read.
here.
Okay, okay. Well, it has been alleged that there's actually nothing in the book.
That's a lie.
Well, that's nonsense. I mean, have you
you've
seen how
not-
thick it is?
Right
I
there.
mean,
The book's right there.
but we've
See how
not
thick
seen
that
any
is?
words
700
of it.
pages.
Nobody's been able to see into it. I've only heard about this book.
I'm happy to
before,
read
your
some for you at any
readings.
point.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm very interested in hearing some of the book
Yeah,
Story time's
and,
on
and
All right.
proving us wrong.
yeah.
Leave the allegations to us right now.
Get ready to eat your words, Michael Sorg.
I
Okay,
tried
but
to do this at
I'm
880.
listen, I'm a investigative journalist. And
Are you certified?
What's that?
Are you certified like Joe Murphy?
Uncertified.
Oh, well.
But anyways, so and I just want to convey what I've been hearing between commentary, between the internet, and let's we're here to put some stuff to rest.
Also, I want to point out, everybody, this is a spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear this, just fast forward.
Well, it's
or
okay.
however.
He's early in the book. We're still in the exposition.
This is, I have the perfect excerpt. It's from chapter 4, so we're not going to get too far into the novel. I'm not doing too much away.
A lot of character work, right?
Yeah, anyone who follows the 880 product,
Yeah.
some of these beats will be familiar. It's inspired by a true story. All right, so I'll read this page right now.
Okay, there you go. Let's
All
have
right.
it. Let's have it.
All right, this is the empty tag rope, everyone. Carter J. Collins had been missing a week, and Joe Murphy could not get anybody to give a damn. Yesterday's discovery was not going to help things in that department. Joe was as surprised as the rest of the 880 locker room when he discovered Carter's signature purple suit jacket on his chair in the locker room. The scribbled note left in the breast pocket, which explained that he had departed to New Orleans suddenly, may have put the others at ease. But Joe knew his old partner. Everybody's favorite tag team had not always seen eye to eye, but Carter wouldn't just up and leave for New Orleans of all places. What had happened to Carter had happened right here at 880, and now, right under all their noses, somebody was planting false leads. Joe knew that if somebody had done something to Carter at 880, there was only one person who may have seen it. Actually, two. Mikhail and Chrissy Sword were better than the eyes and ears of 880 Wrestling. They were the production team. Not an ounce of blood was shed in that building without those vultures immediately descending upon the carnage with their cameras to forever capture the brutality. Their business was bringing deranged violence to the masses, and they always needed content. "What's this about, Joe?" Mikhail said, not turning towards Joe, his focus locked on the screens in front of him. Joe spoke quietly, aware that anybody could be listening. Carter J. Collins. Anybody with half a brain knows he wouldn't have left for New Orleans. Something happened to him, and I think it happened here. Did you or any of your cronies see anything? Of course not, Mikhail said, suddenly turning towards the ring, his face reddening. Will one of you dumb fucks get that chair out of the way of hard cam? He screamed at his employees down below. The redness cooled from his face as he turned back towards Joe. Carter's in the Big Easy. There was nothing to see. The sudden dismissal didn't sit right with Joe. Could Mikhail and Chrissy have had something to do with Carter's disappearance? Had they grown so desperate for violence that they decided to make a little themselves? Joe scowled at Mikhail. If I find out you're lying, I'll show you why they call my signature move a flatliner. Hey now, Mikhail said meekly, his voice quivering. I don't want any trouble. You asked me a question and I answered it. Yeah. That better be true. Carter's gone, as simple as that. If you're looking for something to investigate, you should look into that Tatiana mess, Mikhail said, as he removed his glasses and cleaned them with his shirt. Tatiana mess? Joe asked, cursing himself for not masking his confusion. Yeah, she's missing.
Classic Mikhail.
Goosebumps.
So
I wrote that page, and I still can't read it without
I remember it
feeling
as,
something.
like the day it happened.
I mean, oof.
So I understand the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Where we can
I-
legally keep names the same, we did.
Okay. All right. Oh,
and,
okay.
you know,
all right.
some characters were inspired by other characters.
yeah.
Yeah, man, don't know how to play some of these, but yeah, that's interesting. Adds to the mystery, I suppose.
I mean, I don't want to spell it out for you, but Mikhail and his wife may be based on the very production team at 880 Wrestling.
They may have been.
May have.
May have. For legal reasons.
I'm sure Sword Productions is very different than anything you run here.
Broadsword Productions.
Yeah.
Broadsword.
Very different.
No, not Sorg. Sword. Like the weapon.
Sword.
Broadsword. Yeah.
Totally different than Sorg.
Yeah, completely different.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's Mikhail.
Mikhail.
It's Mikhail Sword.
He's
Yeah.
obviously Russian.
Sword.
Very different.
Yeah.
It's obviously
Sword.
Russian.
Sorry, I did it again.
I see why you're big in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what this book's all about. It's about, it's almost like, you know, OJ's If I Did It. We don't necessarily know what happened to these wrestlers, but this is, you know, if we had actually solved what happened to them, this is what would have happened.
Yeah.
This is a tragedy at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a bunch of death.
Just like the Mr. McMahon documentary.
Well, no. But yes.
Less talking heads, more beheading.
Yeah, there's no Bruce Pritchard in our book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, that's okay. That's already better. Okay. Well, the empty tag rope. You guys will be. The book tour continues,
It does.
Yeah.
and we've had our contractually obligated reading of the book.
That's good.
There you go. There you go.
And, you know, we can't wait to read more excerpts over the coming weeks.
Okay.
You know, that's something people have been demanding. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, why bother if the book's sold out everywhere? Like,
Yeah.
I love bringing it out to the ring with me, but we don't have to promote this thing.
I keep hearing the Tupac family talk about it a lot.
Well, they can't read, so let's go and put that out there.
You're reading to them.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Crisscross applesauce style.
do we have options for an audio book, a Kindle version, paperback?
So
down
the second print is coming. With the second print, there will be an audiobook. So this is
Paperback.
all in work. You know, I'll be honest. So the publisher, they're focused on that. We've moved on to the second book, so we're already working on our next project.
Okay,
Not quite
okay.
ready to talk about it yet.
Yeah.
But you know, the empty tag rope, it's a success. I'm thinking movies, maybe a TV show.
Sure. Okay.
No, it's definitely going to be a movie. Maybe a miniseries if the price is right. So,
There you go.
yeah.
Coming soon to Hallmark. Anyways,
Absolutely.
some guy named Joe Murphy, 880 Wrestling, and on coming to a local library near you for the book tour, or Barnes and Noble.
I mean, we've already outsold other wrestling-related authors, have we not, John?
Yeah, no, we are by far the best wrestling authors there are.
Yeah.
You know, a couple internet trolls have tried mentioning this Mick Foley fella to me.
Who'd
But
you ever beat?
I mean, I know what he wrote, Tatum Brown, and you probably don't because that book is shit. So Foley, put down the pen. We got it from here.
Yeah, don't worry. We got this, buddy.
Go stumble off of another Hell in a Cell.
I hear there's one this
I mean,
weekend.
there's one. Yeah, I was just going to say there's
Yeah.
one Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there
maybe
is.
maybe Mick Foley can fall off of it.
He might. That's what he's best known
Get
for.
himself another book deal because we've taken his spot.
Yeah, this is no countdown to lockdown. This is actually a successful book.
Toddy Tender is in the chat room asking if the Red Ghost visited the studio tonight.
They sure did, buddy.
we did see a red ghost.
Yes. Somebody was just yelling outside. I don't know if it was more fans or these book fans that are yelling outside.
you know,
like there's literally people
The
in the
Murphy
street
addicts
yelling
kind
at
of
us.
follow Joe Murphy everywhere.
Okay. The what'd you call them?
The Murphy addicts.
Murphine
Murphine
addicts.
Yeah.
Murphy addicts. That's Joe Murphy's dedicated fan base.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. They are addicted.
Yeah, they're addicted to what Joe Murphy's selling, and
As in they can't get away from it?
Yeah.
yeah,
They follow me everywhere. It's
They just
actually
need
becoming a
more.
bit of a problem.
Okay. Yes, I imagine.
So, hope my car's okay.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, yeah. So find out what's next Thursday night, 880 Wrestling live.
We won't be
or
there this
on
week.
replay. Not this week.
We won't.
We won't find out this
promoting
week.
the book.
The book
Promoting
tour
the
is
book.
heading to Michigan.
Okay.
We'll
Hitting
be
the
back
Michigan.
next week at the regularly scheduled time, though.
Wait, where is it on the hand? Where is it on the mitt?
This is
I think-
Detroit.
I think it's on. I think your hand's backwards.
Is it? Oh,
Hold on. There you go. I think that one. Yeah, that's. I
My
think
wife's from
that's more like
Michigan, so I don't want to get in trouble for pointing at the wrong spot.
yeah. I've been there a few times. I don't know where it is. I do have a Chris Sabin story about this. Though.
I did get like up here, you know, and then there's Pennsylvania.
Oh,
There you go.
that's
There you go.
smart.
Yeah, somebody pointed that out.
We're like
to
down
me.
here then, right? If we're using the
yeah,
same
if
logic.
I'm using, hold on. Am I using the right? Hold on.
Hold
Is
on.
that-
Yeah,
no, I think it's
you had
this
that
one,
side.
This one.
This is that side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
It's this.
we're, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah, I don't
kind
know.
of shorten the thumb a little bit.
Yeah.
A little jaggy. There we go. There we go. Anyways, that's enough hand stuff. Guys, we'll be right back after this with we're going to talk a little bit of AEW 5-year anniversary is coming right less than about a mile away from here, actually. And we'll find out what we learned in wrestling. We'll be right back after this.
I'm Eamon.
I'm Merlin.
And we're a gay.
And his NB.
Are you a reality television connoisseur?
Do you like it discussed from an LGBTQ lens?
If so, A Gay and His NB is the podcast for you.
Hear us break down all your favorite guilty pleasure reality shows from Bravo, Drag Race, and just about everything in between.
Listen to A Gay and His NB on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Eamon.
I'm Merlin.
And we're a gay.
And his NB.
Are you a reality television connoisseur?
Do you like it discussed from an LGBTQ lens?
If so, A Gay and His NB is the podcast for you.
Hear us break down all your favorite guilty pleasure reality shows from Bravo, Drag Race, and just about everything in between.
Listen to A Gay and His NB on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We are back, Wrestling Mayhem show, still in the studio. Riz is here hanging. Hello.
It's
Hulk
me.
Hogan's Buddy Hulk is still on timeout. And the Buddies Inc. are here.
Buddies.
We with that infamous intro. Infamous? Yeah, I'm going to go with infamous.
Infamous.
I think I'm using that right. By the way, what is your intro song? Because, I mean, we've had, well, I guess it's Golden Girls when you guys are coming out.
Our tag team theme is the Golden Girls theme.
Yes.
With the little intro where we sing Buddies and then say everybody needs a friend. And then I solo come out to the theme from the 90s sitcom Blossom. We've really embraced 90s sitcoms.
I noticed. And
80s, 90s.
it's so wild
80s too.
because, you know, Blossom was after Alf, so I watched a lot. And I'm like, I know this.
Only
I
a few
know
people
this.
have gotten the Blossom. I was down.
I had to ask. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is this?
It's such an absurd song, and I remember it from my childhood, mostly because it uses the word, in my opinionation, which is like, that's not a real way to say that.
No.
And it's always stood with me, and I just hated it, and I was like, no, I love that. That's going to work for me.
I mean, it really feels like stop all your fussing, slap on a smile, go out and walk in the sun for a while.
Well,
It's an upbeat
brublyrics.com.
song.
Don't fight the feeling. You know you want to have a good time. In my opinionation, the sun is going to surely shine. That should be a shirt.
Bars.
Brilliant lyrics. I
There
love
you
it.
go.
Brilliant.
Good stuff. All right. Well, hey, I'll do other good stuff happening right here in Pittsburgh. We are going to have a lot of us are going to be going here tomorrow night. But it is the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite, or as my wife likes to say, Diamante, who is also not a wrestler, so it gets weird. Yeah. So it's 5 years. I believe we were the second show of Dynamite here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I went to the first 4.
Wow.
I was like really
Ooh.
excited about AEW launching. So me and some friends like kind of like did the tour.
Yeah.
It was convenient when it was back in Pittsburgh, but it's kind of weird thinking about like, because every once in a while it'll show up in my timeline like 5 years ago in Washington D.C. And it's weird that they've even been around that long at this point.
Absolutely. So I kind of want to, before we get, we got a great slate they have tomorrow. They just announced Bryan Danielson and Okada. There's a weird stip where it's kind of title for title, except that like the first 20 minutes is a Continental Championship and is only on the line for. I think because there's a 20-minute time limit, if I'm not mistaken, on the title. So I think that's their kind of workaround there.
Something
And yeah, I think it's going to be a schmoz, honestly. But Britt Baker against, I think, Serena Deeb. And
Pittsburgh's own Britt
Osprey
Baker?
and Ricochet is going to be the fucking match of the night. Of
Rick
course. What?
Rick Hockett?
Rick Hockett? Or
Yeah.
is that now we've called him Rick O'Shea.
Ricochet.
Yeah, previously on the show, but I think we do need a new take on it. Rick Hockett?
Rick Hockett, yeah.
feels like-
another wrestler called him that, I think.
Really?
Yeah. It was on a podcast or something. It might have been Jericho, but it was right around, it was Jericho. It was right around the time when he was doing the recoil, like the code breaker.
Okay.
And I think Jericho kept calling him Rickhocket, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So I think it's been 5 years of this, COVID aside, and even I think they were doing some really kind of interesting things during COVID that keep things interesting. God, they only had like what 4-ish months or so of the show before they had to go into COVID hibernation.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing they even survived that.
They did such a good job though with wrestlers in the crowd. I mean, once you had wrestlers in the crowd, it didn't feel like that. I don't know. At WWE, I stopped watching for a while during that
it
period.
was tough.
I
It
couldn't
was
do the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
It felt weird. And then AEW, it just felt like a normal crowd. And, it was wrestlers. So they knew what they loved. They knew what to react to. And I think it just made for such a nice little like respite from what was going on in the world.
Absolutely. Like, what are they going to do this week? How's this going to go? Who am I going to recognize in the crowd?
Austin and Colton Gunn really stood out during that time period. Like I feel like that's like I don't want to say that's the only reason they're on the run they are now, but like those guys put the work in.
But it's a lot of guys, like even the Acclaimed. Like they talk about so much about these talent who got over from that era, and there are guys, and it's just because like it was a weird time, and you had a chance to shine in the audience as well. And it's like that. It comes up at 880. I'm sure it comes up everywhere. It's the theater thing. There's no small part. If you have a part in a show and you maximize it, you can make a character off of that. And people took advantage of it, whether they were playing poker in the audience. There were some people who realized, oh, there's a camera on me. I better be me.
Yeah. Either way, you're still on TNT at the time.
Yeah.
You still have hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on you, right? So absolutely, and so many did do so well with that, and plus new opportunities came up because so many people were restricted from the travel or got COVID and couldn't be there that week, and they had to fill spots. So like a lot of people got in front of people, and you don't know how many people maybe wouldn't have gotten that chance if it was business as usual. So as AEW tried to get their footing. So kind of state of the business, obviously I think the easy statement is generally the business is better for AEW existing, whether you like what they're doing now or not. There's a lot of detractors obviously with it, but I really think this is a Nintendo versus Sega kind of argument personally. I think I watch every minute of AEW every week. I'm the sicko here. So, but I also watch Raw and SmackDown. I might come back to NXT to see what they're doing for this new version for CW, which started tonight, by the way.
New championships debuted tonight.
New what?
They redesigned some of the titles tonight.
That makes sense. I was really worried, probably because the background was literally the multicolored version of NXT, which I hated. And I know that was
2.0.
I know that was COVID era, so it got weird.
I was such a big NXT fan, and that's where I tagged out. I still don't watch NXT.
Hot take.
It's hard.
I used to love it. I used to love it so much.
I watch every PLE. I
don't even watch those. I'm actually now like the cynical jerk about the current NXT product.
Much as I am a new generation apologist, I am also an NXT 2.0 apologist.
I'm sensing a theme here with you.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because again, now I know a lot of people don't like it, but a lot of good things came out of NXT 2.0, but it took time. Tony D'Angelo's whole character, I don't think that would have ever flew in the same space as an Adam Cole.
Well, but that early NXT, that's what I really loved, where we had the vaudevillains, we had Enzo and Big Cass, we had these big characters that could have fit almost in any WWE era. But they were just existing in their own little world. It's almost actually when they started including a little more WWE that things started falling apart.
Kind of, yeah. But
I can see that.
NXT 2.0 was a bit of a callback to the early days, especially character-wise. Work rate-wise, these are all for a majority of them were just people from the Performance Center.
Very new, very green.
Yeah. But we got Braun Breaker out of that. We got a lot of very good talent. Mandy Rose had the run of her career in NXT 2.0, and I feel like that's very overlooked.
A couple years ago, we used to we used to start at 10 o'clock, and we had NXT on and catch the end of it. And I think it was one week I had Paul Atlas in here. Or Dean Radford or something, and I just loved we had it on, and having a Paul or a Dean, who are again 20 plus year vets individually in this thing, and very will tell you their opinion of what's going on here. I don't know if you've done a show with either of them, but watching them watch NXT was such a joy, because they were just what the is that guy doing? I don't understand that. He's got cowboy boots, but he doesn't. But they're wearing something that looks like it should be cowboy. It's like they were just tearing it apart. I don't generally wrestling in 2 seconds you should know what's going on, right?
Yes.
We all can agree on that. And they're just I don't know what this is. How are they putting this on USA Network? Which is again it's very rough. But also you're there to see the process, and that's why I'm so interested to see now they're on CW. Arguably a bigger platform. It's network TV, whatever you think of the CW, right? So that's when SmackDown went to Raw. Yeah, it's going to be the biggest ratings boost than everybody else because they're on network TV. CW probably doubled their ratings from USA, I would imagine.
Yeah, is CW in just as many homes as Fox, or because it's all
more or less? It's just about every market has a CW. I think
the network's past CW has a really tumultuous network record.
Yes,
they are no longer that initial. This is just the WB and UPN combined. They've been sold since then, and I think they still have that footprint. but it is a very different company. I was very intrigued to see them get into the pro wrestling game.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking up real quick. I want to kind of see the house.
I remember, so I was a huge Veronica Mars fan. So
tracks.
when they launched the CW,
Yeah.
I was there, and I got like, so their first advertising was like a little offensive. It was kind of like, we're just for women.
No.
Fuck y'all if you're not a woman.
Hey, Gilmore Girls was fucking great.
But their marketing changed, and they kind of
Smallville, and it's in the superheroes.
they had
and
shows for everyone, but their marketing was very much, we want teen girls to watch this, and I was like, all right, but I want to watch Veronica Mars and not have my friends say anything about it. It's just a good show.
Yeah.
Like,
So to break it down, and I think these are most probably 2024 numbers. So yeah, it's not as big as Fox, obviously. I mean, Fox is top 4 and CW is not. Fox is in, according to a quick Google search, the Wikipedia says 87 million U.S. households, and this is over the air plus cable, obviously. CW is in 12 million.
That's still pretty good, though.
But still probably more than how many USA Network households? Let's do that.
There we go.
Let's do that real quick. As a true comparison,
Live research.
and that is at 91% of all U.S. households. That's not a comparative number.
Because it's like an upgraded part of like any cable subscription.
That's a standard.
CW you can just get with an antenna.
Yeah.
So like that's just that.
But it is like Johnstown probably doesn't have a CW, but Pittsburgh does.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably
Johnstown
something like
used to have the CW. I lived in Johnstown.
I hypothetically, I don't know if Youngstown does. I know we did not have Fox for the longest time where I was in northwestern Pennsylvania, because we had Youngstown and we barely had ABC. Even at that point. In fact, Fox they basically played the Fox stuff after the late night programming on ABC.
Wow.
So if I wanted to watch Simpsons or Married with Children, I had to watch it at 1 a.m.
Man, you were in the trenches.
I was in the trenches, but then I also did get Fox Kids Saturday morning.
Hell yeah.
And this was only on one TV in the back washroom, and that's where I watched Superstars, and that's where I watched my X-Men. So yeah. Anyways,
my daughter randomly picked Bobby's World from the old Fox.
Oh my god!
And that was a blast from the past. I had not seen Bobby's World since probably 1992. So it was a little weird.
Anyways. Doesn't matter. All of it's going to be a Netflix in a year anyways.
But what I love about being on the CW is that old vibe that you can just stumble across it. Like,
yes.
As I said, I grew up in Philadelphia, so Channel 48, you just catch ECW sometimes. And when you were a kid, that was like the holy grail. It was never great reception, but you turn it on, and suddenly Sandman's there doing his thing. You're like, oh, I don't know what I just found, but it's great.
My God, I wish, and also bring it back around, because SmackDown started as a UPN show, which became part of CW. I wish I had the Pittsburgh television signal when there was a lineup of, some people will laugh at this part, Shotgun Saturday Night from WWF,
Love Shotgun Saturday Night.
PWX in Pittsburgh, and ECW.
Oh, wow.
I could not imagine. And it was like a low power station that I think is right over in Green Tree still. WBGN. That's right. IWC was on it in the 2000s.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, I watched a couple of episodes there, and that's how I was introduced. I watched John McChesney win the Super Indie tournament with a hamburger chest. Things like that. But back around to AEW, again, we can say how much WWE has done very, very well the last few years, but also I think, part of that credit, I think, is to AEW for, one, pushing the kinds of programming, pushing the superstars, showing different superstars for WWE to make bigger. Jade Cargill, for instance.
Cody Rhodes.
Like, we are back to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes would not be there right now if AEW wasn't a thing, to prove that he was a commodity.
We're telling part 2 of the story that started in AEW.
Exactly.
Ethan Page is getting the run of his life
Oh yeah,
right now.
Ethan
Absolutely.
Page, fresh off of AEW, just wins their.
He
NXT
was
title.
on his way to a TV championship program on Ring of Honor television, dropped it, and we're like, what happened to Ethan Page? And WWE, and now he's the NXT champion.
Well,
My God.
even in a certain way, the things that are happening with like the TNA angle of everything, if that doesn't happen with like Christian Cage and
Kenny.
Christian
and
Cage
Kenny
won the
Omega.
Impact Championship here in Pittsburgh the
Yeah.
second time they were here.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the stands with Chachi. It was the first Rampage we got. It was the very first episode of Rampage, and he's like, well, he's not dropping the Impact title on Rampage in Pittsburgh.
Kenny
That's
Omega
not
drops it to
happening.
Christian.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like we were on the barricade, on the end in the stands, and I think I almost threw myself over the barricade. I was so excited in it.
For the real sickos, Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega is a dream match. Those guys are very good. Like, it's one of those things you don't think you want, and it's like, no. The people who know want that match.
I mean, I've always loved Christian Cage. I'm
Same.
a huge fan.
Absolutely.
Thought he was better than Edge back in
Everybody's,
the day.
there's probably a lot of people was like, oh God, Christian Cage in the toast. I was like, no, you're gonna have a good match.
No.
You're gonna have a good
Yeah,
story.
you're-
No, this is
a blessing.
And we're putting Nick Wayne and people on the stage, so you
and
start
now look
remembering
at
them,
him.
and you start remembering them for the next thing they do, right? People bitch about Jericho all the time in the Learning Tree about how terrible it is. Like, yes, it's objectively a terrible thing.
That's the point.
But that's the point.
Yeah.
I'll hear people, when a storyline's happening, is like, oh no, all the heels went, this happened. Like, this is terrible. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna see the next show when they lose, right? That's
That's the
what
whole point. We're
yeah.
building to this.
Yeah, like you build up to that, and Orange Cassidy gets over on them, and FT Hook gets over on them, and that makes you want. That's the point. You're
It's Wrestling
supposed to
101.
be. You're not. There's certain points where you shouldn't be happy. Leaving WrestleMania 39, for instance,
Yes.
right? And I'm sad and puzzled at the chicken. In general, it's just, those kinds of things. But my God, it does invigorate things. This has played havoc on the indies. Unfortunately, it brought CM Punk would not be in wrestling right now,
yeah.
having the story of his life. Love him or hate him, it's still good fucking television, right? And you can buy both sides. It's a John Cena effect. You're either there for him or you see to get his ass kicked. Who cares?
I did not become a CM Punk fan until after the Muffin interview. I'm like, oh, I get it now. This guy's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, so what if he assaulted a coworker backstage?
hasn't?
I mean, who hasn't?
Just choke him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, just a little bit. But it's just, but I'm there for it. I'm there to see these matches. I'm there to see these people, grow into things. I love the cross pollination with New Japan. I love bringing the elements of New Japan to an American audience.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be for everybody, including that one guy in the chat room right now. It's just, we say this very, if you want good wrestling, AEW, if you want good story, WWE, but man, there's some good of both there's good of both in both of them
Yeah,
right now.
they both do what
Absolutely.
they do well, and there's always going to be tribalism, but at the same time, there's choice now. You can choose your wrestling. Like nobody's forcing you to pick one.
No.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just
yeah.
wait till the week's over and just watch the matches that sound good to you.
I've decided not to do NXT. I've decided not to do TNA because it took the membership off you, dude.
If you could bring Lucha Underground back, I think I'd just be like a happy camper.
I know,
MLW kind
right?
of had it.
Oh my God.
I don't know if they still do.
I mean,
have,
they
the-
tried to
They've
kind of
been-
capture
no,
it.
no.
They have like Azteca.
The problem is Lucha Underground worked because it was such a focused, high production. You had some of the best writers of WWE television doing the thing without that they wanted to do. God, I'm trying to remember because we talked to Chris DeJoseph and Van Wagenen, who is a veteran of the television game, worked on The Apprentice.
Nice.
Or with that guy, another I think Survivor or something like that. Please correct me in the chat room research department. And so they knew how to do those things, and I think that when you're talking with those guys a few times that we did, it was like that was the if you could do a wrestling show the way you wanted to do a wrestling show, what would you do? And this was it. And they just leaned into all the crazy, and they created their own reality, and it's just like, it was so like Marvel Universe or something, and time travel, and you were there for it. You know, it's like, there was like murder. Characters died. Rey Mysterio is still in that fucking cage in the basement.
He's dead
in Boyle Heights, California.
I don't know. Yeah, it was one of the only companies where killing people off actually
I'm sorry,
worked.
Big Brother was the one he worked on, not Survivor.
Oh, okay. Well, no, TNA killed off a couple people. They killed off of.
The only one that worked in it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
I don't count Eric Young.
Yeah.
Didn't he come back?
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wished him back with the Dragon Balls. But to kind of circle back to like the Vince documentary, Shawn Michaels has a very interesting quote in that where he's talking about all the ridiculous stuff he did, kind of like, in the Attitude Era to kind of clear the air. But he said something along the lines of like, wrestling is at its best when you can respect it for what it is, but also acknowledge how ridiculous it is. And like that's something that like Lucha Underground did very well, and I think that's something that other companies do very well. But yeah, no, I'm fully in agreement with one of the best wrestlers in the world whenever they say that, which is kind of
I forget
crazy.
that whole like, no, we're here to buy into it. It's a stage show. We're here to carrying them like that the
It's
outsiders.
an art form.
It is.
Yeah, it's an art form. It's like it's all that stuff. You're there. Hopefully, you're entertained by buying into it. Okay, some people believe it, and okay, but
Still real.
everybody in the building, while they're in the building or have it on the TV, are there to believe in it
Yes.
as a concept.
Mhm.
So, why, listen, if I go to the Empire Strips Back, I'm not going to be like, this is fake. It's a Star Wars parody themed strip show that's been touring the country, and it's in Pittsburgh, and I really think I'm going to go Sunday. But
Your prerogative.
we talked about it on Awesome Cast this, and it sounds amazing. But yeah, exactly. Actually, probably not too far from pro wrestling now I think about it. But
Yeah, like I mean that's kind of the magic of it, because my family, like my little brother, my girlfriend, they have no idea what like anything about wrestling aside from what I do. So like whenever they're around, that if I have something on, like I'm trying to explain to them, like, yes, it may not be real, but like you're supposed to enjoy the story like you would anything. So like like to piggyback off the Star Wars thing, it's like, yeah, I know they're not actually out there fighting with like laser swords, but like the story itself is something I'm interested in. But
absolutely.
And that once you get over that barrier with the casual fan, is like I feel like that's when you have them. That's something I talk with Chris LaRusso like in a lot, especially whenever buddies were kind of first teaming. Pulling back the curtain a little bit there. But yeah, like I would always text my girlfriend and like have her watch the show. I'm like, what do you think? And then I would go over it with LaRusso. It's like, so this worked and this didn't, because she has no outside
She's
knowledge.
perfect, and that's and that's your audience. It's not us.
Yeah.
Again, when you're like, why are they doing this? It doesn't make sense. Well, they should be doing this. It's like nobody, they're doing what they think the audience is going to get, and they're going to be reacting to it. And I think people forget about that too. So, but no, I'm very excited. Good to see them at 5 years. I'm waiting with bated breath to see what they do. And I think the biggest celebration of 5 years is we all outlasted Bleacher Report Live.
Yeah.
We did.
Did you see that?
That's over.
They are dying. Probably a Fox or probably a Warner Brothers Discovery situation there more than anything.
Well, Swerve does say Fox. Swerve's out there doing interviews.
Swerve's saying Fox?
Swerve did an interview and he said, we're not talking about it yet, but I'm TK's boy, so I can say it. We're going to. He's basically said we're going to Fox. He's like, we took SmackDown spot. You'll hear about it soon. And everyone's like, what are you talking about?
Well, let's hope that doesn't ruin the deal, because that's usually a thing you can't talk about.
Yeah. Just ask Conan.
Yeah.
It's because apparently something got fouled up with the Lucha Brothers there.
Yeah. That's rough, buddy.
Okay, we'll take a moment on this. Allegedly, what I caught, let me know if you guys heard anything different. This is all allegedly. This is all dirt sheets. So please take the dirt sheet grain of salt. We need like a code, kind of like how we have the spoiler codes when we're talking about movies.
Yeah.
Like we need a don't believe everything you hear right now for the show. So help us think about like what's the code? What do we scream out when you get to us?
It's the Meltzer classic where it's like obviously this was the plan, but plans always change, or whatever he says whenever his predictions don't come true.
Yeah,
Just literally copy and paste that. That's your tagline.
Yeah, I was like, like this weekend there was like the news about supposedly Kevin Dunn and Vince were getting together to do a counter to the Mr. McMahon documentary or something, which was turned
I'm
out
sure that'll be
absolutely
watchable.
absolutely bullshit thing that people just made up. And
While Linda's like going on camera saying Vince is not doing well now that he's retired, like she
has?
gave that interview like 2 weeks with a political place.
oh really?
'Cause she's like heavy.
Oh, because she's probably campaigning for Trump and stuff, right?
So she's doing the full campaign, and somebody asked her at a campaign event, how is Vince doing? And she just bluntly said, not well.
They're still married. Isn't that crazy?
Are they seriously?
They're still married. Yeah.
After all that shit?
Like they're probably like separated, but like they're
Yeah, I think
Yes.
they're just separate.
I think
they're
they're a
separated.
sham marriage now. Like I don't. Think
oh yeah,
they're, like,
it's just a it's like come on, is Bill and Hillary?
They
Really?
probably
Are Bill
haven't
and Hillary
re-up-
still a thing?
Their prenup and all hasn't probably been worked out in years. Their assets are so heavily tied. They
Yeah.
probably really want to get divorced, and it's just too much work. For
I think
how-
they have an understanding.
They're like one of us will die soon,
This
right?
is this is a business marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It is what it is. I mean, and it's not the weirdest thing of a political couple. So, God, politics again. Fuck. End this fucking campaign.
everything is wrestling.
God. Even it got into the documentary.
When you have Hall of Famers from WWE in an election, it gets weird.
It does get very weird. It happened twice now.
Yeah.
multiple.
I wish wrestling personalities would stay further away from politics. That's my one hope for 2025.
I don't know. President Rock is supposed to be.
President Dwayne Johnson. I'm kind of here for
That was in
That was Young Rock.
in the way that basically that was the premise. Like Young Rock was basically his feelers for it.
How'd that shit work out?
there was Young Rock, and then there was also in the I think the last video game 2K24.
Okay.
There is a thing where President Rock comes out
In the Rumble.
Oh,
in the Rumble.
Just like this
It's
is
escorted by Secret Service.
This is just.
Yes.
I go. God, I gotta get through that story then.
one of them.
No, you-
There
no,
is
you don't.
it's just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was always allusions to him becoming the president. Like there's if you watch Demolition Man, there's the Arnold Schwarzenegger Presidential Library.
Yeah.
So
Also
and
a
he
WWE
did
Hall of Famer.
And he, God, he is. Wow. God, politics is wrestling. Oh my God, they were so right on that documentary, and they only mentioned one guy. So I am so broken on that. We did have somebody on years ago. I believe it was during the first run. It's literally a book that compares the life of Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, and talks about the parody of their past. So there you go. Oh, that's all I'll say.
I mean, when I was watching like Succession, it was hard not to draw parallels
Dude, did
between
you
the
not?
McMahon family.
Wait till you watch this documentary.
I heard
you're gonna scream Succession, just like
Because
Succession.
I mean, the whole show I
multiple
went,
times.
this is about the McMahons. It's
Yeah.
not about the McMahons, but this is about the McMahons.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's kind of that rich person dysfunction I was talking about, and now you add a family dysfunction on top of the dysfunction that involves money and what people think they're owed as inheritance and stuff like that. It just like it deforms people.
It does.
And I there was some news came out about a rock star that that definitely has a new kid from a different mom situation.
I had a child born outside of my marriage, which is very weird
and
way
I'm
to
reading
phrase that.
I'm literally reading the book about him, and I'm literally in the chapter about how great it is to be a parent.
Oh.
And boil that on top of already being hard to swallow as a person who couldn't have kids. It was just like, yeah, fuck this. I'm out. I'm not reading the rest of this book. That's 2 hours I'm not getting to. Audiobook, guys. So like it's just like. And I was having a discussion with somebody, and I was like, okay, the fact that he would be a rock star and have a functional marriage without any issues would be a fucking miracle. Unfortunately, this is the norm because of the environment. Yeah. Honestly, I always say, I feel like we're going in the Patreon territory here, and
It's your show.
Well, it was going to be a short one, but never mind. Oh God, we stopped recording.
For how long?
Well, that's all right. We have backups online.
Okay.
I think since the break, I forgot to restart
the
it.
internet.
So, it's gonna be a fun edit tonight.
I bet.
So, what was I
you're
getting
supposed to
to?
be fun.
Oh yeah, I say the because people keep getting pissed off about people we deal with in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And it was like, well,
Can't see why.
What kind of people do you think become wrestlers? All the well-adjusted people?
You have no idea. Okay, like going back to talking to people who are not in the wrestling bubble and explaining to them like how things happen and stuff like that, and it's just like, why are people like this? And I'm like, that's a great question that I don't have time to answer for you right now, because it would take me 3 days and I have to write a whole thesis on this. But like, there are normal people in wrestling, but they are few and far between.
No, if you're like, hey, I got a, allegedly AJ Styles has had the same wife since before he was famous and all that kind of shit, and everything's cool. But then you have The Rock, who's like in a strange divorce but business relationship with his wife.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like, Rock couldn't get the shit done and be a normal, allegedly normal marriage, if there is one, kind of thing. So like, it's just, I think it just like, there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure on marriage in general if you have a normal job, for people who can't keep shit together, and I think it just adds on to that. And the more popular and the more crazy the lifestyle of that profession, I think it just, you gotta be crazy strong and crazy in for it to make it all work.
Telling my girlfriend I'm going to drive 5 hours to go to a different state just for like 5 minutes in a match, and like she comes along, she's like, oh, I want to travel, and I'm just like, you're not going to want to after this. And then like we're in the car ride home, she's like, why did you do this? And I'm just like,
I brought somebody with me to do a wrestling show, and he didn't realize. I was like, hey, can you just like help the DVD table and tag along? And he's just like, these are long days. I'm like, yeah,
They are.
yeah, they are. Yeah, that's what we do. And the show was only an hour away.
Yeah.
So an hour and a half maybe. That's it. There was another similar video professional in very similar line of work with me that I was talking to a couple years ago. Done a little bit of work with them, and just the independent video professional could not keep his like girlfriend's like, I'm not down for this life,
It's not for everyone.
And it was just like, well, at least you made the decision now, kind of thing. So like those kinds of things. And I think that all kind of goes together. So it's tough out there, guys. Sometimes we make it tougher by the life choices.
Yeah, like it was a world of a difference. I trained first 10 years ago. I tried it out in Philly, and it was such an interesting experience. And that's the kind words I will say.
Yes.
That I don't know, even though I wanted to get back into it, when my school at the time relocated, and I was a non-driver, so I just kind of fell out of it. And the reason I think I fell out of it so easily is just like I didn't connect with a lot of the people there, and it was such a different culture. And in Pittsburgh now, I think there are just so many cool people involved in the wrestling scene, and it feels a lot less shady than what I encountered in my 20s. Maybe that's just age. Maybe that's realizing that some of what people say is utter bullshit, and they're just trying to like reflect this persona. But it was intimidating in my 20s, and I kind of went like, is this a world I want to be a part of? Because some of these people suck. Some of them were great, but some people were truly just not people I wanted in my life. And I think I waited for a while to get back into it. And when I did, I was just like genuinely surprised by the amount of amazing people I met.
Yep. Absolutely.
They do exist.
Well, on that note, well, we got deep for a minute there, didn't we? So that means it's a great time to talk about our friends at Slice on Broadway, because what brings people together than over some great pizza? Our friends New York City style, Yinzer Made, Beachview, Carnegie, East End, North Hills. Oh, I wanted to take a picture because they had an updated list on something, because we went a couple weeks ago. Our friend Old School Mayhemers will remember V-Rock was in town from San Diego, and we got to hang out, and we went to Slice, and I guess she'd never been to Slice before, so and I was like, I don't know how we have pizza on the West Coast. So said all. Tacos, yay. Pizza, iffy out there. So go check them out. Slice on Broadway, the OG, the original. I love sitting up there and watching the train go by on the old location. I know Riz finds stuff. Who was it? Somebody was just talking about how they live like next door to a Slice. It's one of the jocks last week. Apparently live right next to one. Oh shit, I just blew up there. Well, you're going to look at the location list and say, there's a jock by one. I just helped out the stalker. Anyways.
This Slice, I got kind words for them, though. when I challenged unsuccessfully for the pizza championship at the most recent No Ring.
That's
and
right.
I actually hit up this very Slice on Broadway for a bunch of pizza boxes and pizza supplies because I had.
Did you tell them it was for wrestling?
I did, and they were very excited.
They do love that. We used to talk to them all the time about shows. Beastman destroyed that Slice on Broadway one time. So that's a thing that happened.
Before he turned cool.
Before he turned cool. Definitely before he turned cool.
So I was searching for Cool Beastman. That had to be suspended.
I heard. Wait, the search has been suspended? Was that from the higher-ups? Was that from
by
management?
the higher-ups, I got an official written cease and desist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that the second book?
No, that was not the second book. That was like a personal thing.
That's going to be the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Search for Cool
All
Beastman.
right. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we've had fun working with Beastman. That's all I'll say. We had an idea for something that would have been really cool.
Yes.
We haven't worked with Cool Beastman or any version of Beastman since the very beginning of Buddies Inc.
He powerbombed my best friend on top of me. It was pretty crazy.
I actually, it was an interesting thing because our match got delayed, and I'm so bummed about this because it got pushed by 1 week, and I had this whole Elmo promo planned because it was that exact week where Elmo did that check-in on people's mental health, and so I immediately, like 2 days later, grabbed an Elmo like stuffed animal for one of my kids and went, I'm borrowing this, and I had a whole thing planned I wanted to do. And it probably wouldn't have been smart because I didn't do it, and I still got power bombed on my best friend.
Yeah.
But
God, it would have been funny.
One day.
One day.
One
My
day.
Elmo
Oh
impersonation
my
will
gosh.
reach 880.
Well, let's wrap the show, everybody. What did you learn from wrestling this week?
This week.
Or if you're not a regular on the show, recently. We can say recently.
I mean, it wasn't this week, but I had it brought back up to my attention, and like it's probably the best thing I've ever. It's probably the best advice I ever got in wrestling in general. Because I think I've talked to you before about Joey Sinceri, and he might be making a return.
Yes.
And
You're putting that out there.
maybe.
gosh.
But Joey Sinceri gave me the best advice I ever heard in my life, and I had to feed it back to him. And this advice might be. A lot of people won't like it, but he said to me right around the time when I stopped wrestling for a while, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, man, I don't think I have it in me anymore. And he's like, get it out of your system now, because you don't want to be 40 years old wrestling like, kids and like, like in the middle of nowhere or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, that is really good. And then now he is living in Indianapolis with his beautiful wife and his child on the way. He's like, I miss wrestling. I'm like, well, man, I'm going to hit you back up with the same thing. Get it out of your system now so you don't regret it later, and you're not that person you described. And so he's doing something. We might got something planned for him.
Nice. I love to hear that. One of my favorites, definitely on shows that we worked with him.
I'm going to send him this clip too.
What's that?
I'm going to send him this clip.
All right, we'll see if the AI picks it up, so he'll probably get it anyways.
Yeah.
John, what about you? You got one?
Yeah, I've probably learned something in wrestling this week. I don't know. It's been such an interesting week with anniversaries and like retrospectives in history. I think it's just that anything, no matter how small or how big in pro wrestling, might come back to bite you in the ass or get you over. Like, it's the little things in pro wrestling that really add up and matter and make a character or make a career. And it's just so fascinating to think back of pro wrestlers and like life choices they made and how it may have impacted them. Like, I always look at Edge. If that stuff with Lita didn't happen, would we have Edge?
Yeah.
We
we had the rated R superstar, right?
Yeah, and that's what differentiates it from any other like art form. Almost is that real bleed of real life into it all. And I think just with that documentary coming out, 5-year anniversary of AEW, it's really easy to think about that history, and just how wrestling has such a weird relationship with its own history.
Because I got Hulu again. I started watching again the Hidden Treasure show. By the way, interesting show, but I realized after watching the Stone Cold episode, I don't know. I want to watch several more hours of WWE sucking their own dick, because that's how I
you
felt.
mean
I'm
the-
like,
like the
hey, oh, you're
Pawn
gonna tell me
Stars
for the
one?
next 5 minutes how great Stone Cold was? Okay, there we go. So, but it's getting that reality show kind of vibe to it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you kind of see that, but you kind of see what you're talking about like, hey, they were looking for the knee brace he wore, right? So it's like.
Like he
What?
has
You know?
500 knee braces.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
You know, and then the smoking skull belt, and they were
Conrad
literally
Thompson probably
they're
had it.
trying to find the cement truck that they dumped on the Camaro, right, and all this stuff, and it was just again that kind of like
What a deep cut.
that's the whole point of the show, of course, but it's very interesting. So Lita can even save it for me.
I used to love those fluff shows on the WWE Network when it first started, where all they did was like
They
countdown.
keep doing
Countdown
it.
was
Now
great.
AEW does it, or A&E does them, and it's just like, oh, okay, I guess, how many times do you need to tell me about the Attitude Era? How many times do I
Yeah,
need
I'm
to hear
over it.
about this rivalry? It's just like, it's not like, I kind of watch the AEW stuff, and I'm still like, dude, is there anything new here? It's just going to tell me the same, and I have to watch commercials now. I don't know. Anyways. I guess that's what I learned in wrestling this week. I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, good. Somebody in the chat thanked me for that show because I think they worked on it a little bit. Anyways, Mad One says, I learned that Bronson Reed is a fucking future world champion. Yes.
Yeah.
That was amazing, that match last night. They destroyed the
Yeah.
ring. They took out a row of fans.
They did.
Fans. So
They did the ring spot, which I kind of
Mm-hmm.
was looking at a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Seth came back.
Yeah.
Seth came back. Braun looked like he had did something to his knee, and he started running, which is weird.
Braun Strowman's knees look like they're crying for help.
Yeah, I thought
They
that was
look
just generally
really
how
bad.
he ran now. I didn't realize that's something
Like
caught
it
with
was, it
them.
looked like it might have been how he runs now, but
I feel like he's getting to the Kevin Nash phase of his his
no.
career, like
just
like
don't
the bad
just don't
wheels.
go off the top rope, or don't break your leg again.
I just can't wait for him to become X Division champion. That's the TNA crossover we need. We need Braun Strowman to go to TNA and try to go for the X Division championship and get tutored by Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. I'm sorry,
Replaying
I just rewatched that promo with Kevin Nash.
I've been on a show with both the Motor City Machine Guns, which just want to drop that.
What's that?
I've been on a show with both of the Motor City Machine Guns. I just want to drop that.
I had a pleasant conversation with Alex Shelley in the bathroom a couple months ago. So,
Real quick, can I tell my Chris Sabin story?
yeah, sure.
Sick. Okay. So I rode with Hollywood Bubby George Ross. Out
Okay,
to-
Hollywood Bubby.
That's
You're
what I
calling
keep-
him now.
He hates it. That's what I keep calling him.
Then we're definitely gonna keep saying it on the
Yes,
show and in
absolutely.
person.
Hollywood Bubby. But so it was like an apology thing because I had a whole injury and everything like that. And George's like, "Don't worry, Bobby, I'm gonna get you on the same card as Chris Sabin." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we're riding out there, and I keep telling George, I'm like, "Dude, as soon as I see Sabin, I'm gonna do the Motor City thing to him." He's like, "Bobby, you can't do that to Sabin." And I'm just like, "Watch me." So I'm putting my match together, and then I'm going back outside to check with the runners, see if everything's cool. And then Sabin passes me in the hallway, and as he passes me, he has his hood up and everything like that. And I just go like this, and then he just starts laughing, and I'm just like, "Got him! All right." And I go up to tell George, I'm like, "George, I did it." And he's like, "Well, what did he do? Did he get upset?" And I'm just like, "No, he laughed, George, because none of this is meant to be taken seriously." And I wrestled in front of Gabe Sapolsky that night. It was crazy.
I feel like everybody Gabe is everywhere. It's weird.
He's very well.
I have run into Gabe in that I talked to him once or twice. In 3 different states, 4 different states actually.
That tracks.
This is crazy. Anyways, but from the chat, more from the chat. Matt, True Prince Pro, Matt Birch.
T-Pop. Shout out T-Pop.
There you go. Learned that Buddies Inc. has the best tag team finisher in all of 880 wrestling with the murder they wrote.
Shout out Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, we officially debuted our new tag finish, Murder. They wrote it the last show.
Killed Groove Allen.
Great name. Just gonna say it. We have a great
That's
name.
great. That's fantastic. I feel like RJ City will be jealous of that name.
That's
Okay.
the goal, man.
I mean, he did have the knee Arthur.
The knee Arthur.
Oh,
You know about this?
I didn't know he had a move called the knee.
No, he literally pulled down his knee pad, and there was B. Arthur on another knee pad underneath.
And the Good Night Everybody sleeper hold, which is Chef's Kiss.
Go. It's all on the YouTube. Check out RJ City's IWC
I actually
run.
need to catch a lot of RJ City's old stuff because
It's good.
that's a guy I guess I missed out on a lot of his like independent stuff, and AEW turned me onto him in a big way. And I'll occasionally like click on a link that y'all post for him having an old IWC match or something. But I do need to go back and watch
Good
more.
stuff.
It's good
And
stuff.
It's him and
He's a funny
Dalton.
guy.
And Dalton's another guy that was just always so much fun to work with. And I'm just saying there's some black and white stuff in there. You know,
That's
just
great.
Just saying. Oh, God, like 3 side notes here. Side notes of a side note. One, before I forget, Tina apparently just discovered, because I don't know, send a picture in the chat of RJ on, what was the show? Splat-A-Lot? I don't know if she knows the backstory or just generally found that or not, but we definitely talk about it at the first interview we did with RJ here on the show.
Nice.
It's actually really fun to hear like how he started with it and what he became as part of the creative on there. And if you have not yet, go see the Tony Storm promos from, I believe it's Stardom. There's a thing with Stan Hansen that ends with the line, then he hit me with the lariat, but not with his arm. And then there's a thing I had to send it to Katie, was something about I got thighs like Godzilla and wings like Mothra, and I'm going to destroy the city. I was like, it's my God, so fucking good.
It's funny. Like I am obsessed with Tony Storm.
Timeless.
She's amazing.
And when I was first starting training, the pitches for me were to be an old timey wrestler. And I honestly was too afraid to do it because Tony Storm was just starting her act. And I was like, I don't want to touch this because she's perfected it. Like, I can't do that.
There's room, though, right? There's a respect for it. I think you can do your own take. There's a lot of old-timey things, you know. Maybe you can pick it down. Why not?
I mean, I was a big Vaudevillains fan. I even owned that T-shirt. But I think it was just the timing, and she was doing it so well.
You're doing the 90s sitcom thing already.
Yeah, there's bits of it. We didn't go quite as far, that's all.
But, I mean, maybe at some point,
Wait till we start adding laugh tracks to it.
At some point, maybe there's just a turn, a phase, and you just think you're on Family Matters.
Well, we've really wanted to do like a sitcom intro video for a while. That's something we've talked about filming numerous times.
Perfect Strangers.
Let's have a discussion.
I just want to smile.
I'm just going to point it out there.
You notice I got a green screen over here. You notice I literally had to set up a green screen today. So I'm just saying that we can do some things.
I just want to do a bunch of innocuous tasks, and whenever a camera points at me, wait 2 seconds, and then look and smile. That's the best. And then your name goes across.
Or like have everything just fall out your hands and just go
like, oh no.
Man. Yeah. No, that's what I want. I want all the credits just to be written and like starring us, written by us, produced by like all that nonsense. Like that's what I want. Cosby sweater for days.
Potter learned that if you don't believe in CTE, then it doesn't exist because Stone Cold said so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I made that.
And just want to point out from that same documentary, there was not 93,000 people at the Silver Dome Brother.
The turnstile actually said 73. Like,
Dude, if your catchphrase is literally what and asking people to repeat themselves, maybe just stay far away from that topic.
I beat that joke to death like that week because I said the CT isn't real because Stone Cold said it like 5 times in the locker room, and the buddy snatcher who is portraying Tatiana right now, it's like, Joe, how many times are you gonna say that joke? And I'm just like, I can't remember. I have CT. I don't for. Just so we're clear, but
I love you said I don't, as if you said no, I don't really have COVID. Don't worry about it.
No,
like
promise I don't have
infectious. Like
you can't catch
I'm
it.
not going to spread it through the locker room. Don't worry about it.
So.
And then all of a sudden, everybody had CT. It was crazy. It turns out really infectious. Riz, what did you learn?
That's what I learned.
Oh, that's what you learned. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much. Buddies Inc. More fun than expected. And so was the book was more insightful than expected.
I told you, it's a real book.
You thought it wasn't real, Sorg.
No, I was reporting the vibe from the internet that it wasn't real.
Mikhail Sword.
Sword.
Sword. Sorry, continue. We're just
No, I was gonna say Sword. It's a real book, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be on Amazon
physically
sometime,
see it.
right?
The second print.
Yeah.
It'll totally be on Amazon.
I'll wait for the audiobook. They can listen to it on my walks, I guess. You know,
Matt, your other co-host, he has a copy of the book. Nico Rodriguez got a hand signed copy of the book from T2T Brooklyn.
Okay.
The copies are
I'm
out
still waiting
there.
for mine. I
haven't
Even
seen
though they're
no
hard to
ship it,
find,
or-
like
It's in the
people
mail.
don't pretend a new iPhone is fictitious because they can't buy one at the store.
Yeah.
No, they go, oh, it's so popular, I can't get one.
Yeah.
And
You mean
oh,
this
all right,
phone?
yeah, you can get an
You mean this guy?
iPhone, sure.
You had to order yours,
But
though.
did you find our book? I'm just saying,
have
that's
it at
how
the Apple Store.
popular we are.
No, I even asked the UPS man that delivered it today.
Better than the new iPhone.
He said never heard of the book.
Well, what does he
And
know? He can't read. He's from Pittsburgh. That's the whole thing
And
we're
what-
saying here.
And why are you asking me the books are in boxes?
Sword, you sound like you're defensive here.
He's
What's
very
going on?
defensive.
I'm just.
He just makes
Sword,
you
what's
book.
going on?
we have some history. I used to talk some shit on our production.
This is true. We'll talk about it. We got Patreon coming up here. Want to make sure we don't keep people too late here, because some of us have early mornings. Thank you so much, Buddies Inc. 880 Wrestling Thursday Night Fights on the IndieWrestling.us YouTube and network, free, and everything. Madone says he got his advanced coffee as an ebook, and it was great.
That's good.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
There you go. I think that's what we're down to, digital.
Yes.
Riz is also a Riz. And
also rizzing
does
things
Riz
and doing
things.
things.
And I Twitch. You on Twitch?
I do Twitch things sometimes.
I do lazy
actually
Twitch.
I actually went on Friday and played
Ooh.
TCG store simulator. It's a really addicting game.
I'll have to Google all those words later to figure out what the hell it meant.
Well, trading card game sort of simulator, I believe.
Yes.
It's up there.
Thank you. Yes,
I'm a big trading card guy. That's why my jacket's so shiny.
it is way too. It
sure.
is way too addicting. I don't know why.
Okay, we'll discover that later. At Sorgatron on the social media, see what's up with me, and also fun clips from this show are usually shared in other shows that we do. Some are mindfulness, some also involve wrestling. Putting the clips up from a year ago on the mindfulness show, you might see some familiar faces on there. So thank you, everybody. Stay tuned for the Patreon if you're on the feed with us over there, or catch it later in the week as we post it. And thank you, everybody. Until next time, Mayhem out.
Just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Don't give up what you want, take it back. Wait for the perfect time, then attack. Do what you
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.